Good old Shihad, right? Are you there, buddy?
I'm here. Aru, how's it going, man? I'm just getting my setup.
Hey, Rex, how you doing?
Away. Doing well.
I try to go with something a bit more strange tonight, since it's our first 2024. Just so you know, I collect. For those who don't know, I collect anything pop culture, like anything from like cups, right? From cups to friggin' masks to hats to toys, and you know, even friggin' little McDonald's dolls. But that's not what we're here about tonight. Hey Nugget, do you want to come jump in? I mean, this is basically Kiwis, man. You know, celebrating his own comics and stuff. This week I found out that there was an offer. Somebody offered a comic book that was self-published by a Kiwi, and I was like, I want my hands on that. I haven't paid it yet. I've got all this, you know, all the bank details are just for sleeping all day today. So Rex, how's your day going? How's it been, man, down in Wellington?
Oh man, well this is the first week back after the holiday break, so it's been a bit of a shock to the system. But here we are, man. I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Awesome, dude. So I'm gonna check up something very, you know, things pop up across my, you know, Facebook and stuff like that, and I saw this and I thought this is quite exciting for you know, for people who are into comics and fans, like manga and stuff. This is happening in Christchurch.
Hey.
So if you're in Christchurch, 2nd of March, pop down and check it out. This is something that happens in Auckland all the time. You've got like there's last year, was it last year? Year before? Oh yeah, 2022. We were involved in anime K-pop and gaming festival here ourselves, running it, co-partnering with a crew up in Auckland, and we ran their convention with our crew from Plunge. We went up there and helped them run theirs. But there's also there's so many other ones I can't think of right now. Which there's one that's in Auckland as well. There's an Auckland Japan Day or something like that, or Asia Day. And they have that. There's also events on where they have like drawing and get manga cards here. You know, that's like Japanese creatives and
yeah. I'm trying to think of the one in Auckland. Let me have a look here. It's pretty big. It's
yeah.
Let's have a look here.
What is the name?
Overload. That's what it's called.
That's the one. So it's Overload. Let me bring that up.
I mean, Overload is fantastic. You know, it's just like a massive like artist alley. Has obviously does have sort of like a manga bent to it. But you know, there's loads of like more Western stuff there. They certainly don't discriminate. So yeah, it's a real good time, man. It's a real good time.
Yeah, so this was from last year in April or something. Well, it looks like it's got from April, but I'm not sure if it was in April. So yeah, 15, 16, 2-day event. You know, they get guest artists, webtoon people, excuse me, cosplay guests and so on. Looks like this one here. And local artists tattooing, cosplay, as I mentioned. And so this thing's been going on for a while. There's also, I'm looking for a event that's an art event. It's like a graphic arts event that one of my friends, Alan Zia, runs, and I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, is that Chromacon? Was that Chromacon?
Yeah, Chromacon. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's due as well soon. So I'm hoping that should be coming up soon because it's. I think they were supposed to do like one, and when they were about to do one, it was like freaking COVID hit, and so the guys, kind of like said, okay, well, we'll leave it for this year, but let me just bring that up so you guys can see what I mean, and so the spelling and that stuff. If you guys can search for it and stuff, it's there. So this is Chromacon. You can check that out. There you go. So whoops.
So I'm not too sure what the scheduling like that for Chromacon is, but it used to be every 2 years. Was it the scheduling was a little off kilter? But I mean, this event is super high end. Like every booth that you see is just top notch artist. Some of New Zealand's best are there. And if you're looking to get some art just for your wall, it's it's pretty high end stuff. I haven't been in a while since I moved out of Auckland, but it was a beautiful event. Yeah, real awesome. I think they ran a comic competition as well.
Yeah, so this was I've got something to talk about that over the comic competition. It's got something amazing for available right now. So it's coming up now. So I've got that listed as well. We can discuss that in a minute. But check. So this was on like 18th to 19th last year in November, right? So I totally missed it. But look, there's lots of events going on. There's no reason not to feel like you're not taking part in what's going on in the world. I mean, in New Zealand, right? Because there's so many creative stuff there. I mean, you've got stuff down in Wellington as well. I mean, like you got freaking Weta Workshop down there, world class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Global, award-winning friggin' thing. Tell us a bit about that, bud.
About Weta Workshop?
Have you been to it?
Yeah, I've been to the cave. I mean, it's I don't want to disparage Weta Workshop does great stuff. I haven't been on the tour yet, but I mean, if you're a big fan of Weta's stuff and the projects that they've worked on, there's a couple of things that they've worked on that I just didn't know they'd sort of touched, and so you're able to buy merchandise and sort of interact with that stuff there. But I mean, it's a good little spot. It's they have like a studio tour. But yeah, it's in terms of like I don't know if they do too much comic stuff. I think, but they do a lot of sort of sculptures and toys and things like that, collectibles. So if you're into that stuff, definitely a spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, my friend just like one of my Mike Batum, local award-winning horror writer, right? He went down there, hit some photos. I don't want to share his photos without his permission, but like it was really cool. I mean, he put it on Facebook, so it's like anybody could see it, but I'm not gonna do that unless without permission. But like, there is some cool stuff down there. I mean, like like if you look at this, like this is one of my favorite movies when it came out, Alita. I love Alita, and so this is one of their designs. So if you can see what that, and then not only that, they also worked on so they just got a friggin' whole action figure statuette type product thing. So like not only are they working on movies and stuff, they're actually making pop culture collectibles and stuff. And this is I mean, look, right, this is from from Lord of the Rings, isn't that like the Hornblower or whatever? And stuff like that. But
Rohan,
yeah, it's good to have that. I mean, I wish there was something like that was here. I mean, like at the moment we've got Hundervaza. I would like to have a store, right? For me, as a someone who loves Whangarei and Northland, I would like to actually see a kind of like a museum to our local pop culture, comic,
Yeah.
you know, manga creators, because there are manga creators here. It's kind of like that, kind of like you go in, you pay $2 and sort of, do that sort of thing, because every city needs that, right? You need some sort of attraction where young people can go and hang out and go, you can make this real. I can actually make a living out of this. And that's been the focus of Plunge Convention, right, for us. And that's why I'm always like going, hey, next generation, got to incite them, excite them, make them interested in that. You guys also have Armageddon down there as well, right?
Yeah, we got Armageddon. We got our own sort of branch of Armageddon. I mean, yeah, just going back to Weta Cave in terms of sort of Weta Studios' presence for the city. I mean, it's massive. I think we sort of New Zealanders sort of take it for granted. Weta Workshop. At the end of the day, it is a premier sort of digital studio, filmmaking studio, special effects studio. Not a lot of other places can boast that. So if you're looking at sort of, I get what you mean now. I mean, I don't want to describe it like it's sort of just a merchandise shop, because you are right. For young people, it is. There's a lot of sort of props there, and sort of there are exhibits there. And in terms of sort of being inspiration for young people, I mean, if I would encourage any young person watching to sort of read about Peter Jackson's story and Weta Workshop's story. I mean, it was really sort of a rags to riches story. They started off with nothing, sort of making sort of slasher sort of splatter horror movies, and then now they're making they made sort of question arguably the greatest movie trilogy of all time, all here. So in terms of that, being able to touch that, it's valuable, and it is pretty impressive. So maybe I didn't sell it right.
I mean, like, it is what it is, but like it's the old adage, whatever, where if you have something great and you have somebody like out there, everybody's going to sort of downplay it, because Kiwis are like that. We're we like basically Kiwis. We like to put our head in the ground. Do our work, and as you can see here with a Kiwi bird, right? Always looking down. And I think that's kind of becomes kind of like our nature to and even when I'm doing this podcasting, right? Live streaming and stuff. I don't go out every 2 minutes and go, hey, subscribe, right? Which you should do right now. But kind of thing, because that's not in us. We're told not to stick our head up too high, because we'll get chopped down. But I think for us, a Weta and Peter Jackson and all that team, man, that's part of that, made us legends in the field of cinema. And we basically invented technology, right, with Wi-Fi speed, fiber, being able to do that. Like, you look at how he was filming 3 films at the same time by sitting one spot while there's filmers everywhere else, filming a trilogy that way. And then when you look at Disney and you got trash, and then you look at this, we did this, what is almost 30 odd years ago. Over 20 years ago or something like that. And we can highlight our greatness in the world of cinema, and I think that's the thing we should do. Also, I mean, even we can downplay ourselves, but uplift our value to the to the world, and when it comes to filmmaking. And I think that's a great thing. So I don't know what the deal with this is here. I mean, this is Wellington, but I'm not sure. They've got something they're talking about here about being a
well, this is Miramar. I mean, this is my suburb, actually. My house is right over the hill.
All right.
So this is sort of where the studio is sort of based. So the cave is sort of around here.
Right.
Obviously Hobbiton is in Matamata, But
Yeah, I've been there.
so that spot there, that's the Weta Cave. So you can go in, you could do a tour, and there's sort of a store there where they've got kind of sort of exhibits and what have you. I think yeah, I mean, obviously these guys are getting the VIP treatment, but yeah, it's still it's still very, very impressive.
So it looks like some
like
sort of
you,
like
like you
looks like some sort of like show they got for J-Star Trip. I have no idea who
like
that is.
As a
travel
final-
show, yeah.
I don't know what the hell they popped up for, but yeah. So that's a Netflix show. So, I mean, anybody who's doing great in New Zealand, I want to be able to promote, especially in pop culture, because I think we should do that because we need to highlight our contributions to the world as well, and especially with cinema, with pop culture and stuff. I mean, like, we've got some amazing comic book creators out there, and hopefully Michel will come on one day and talk to us about him working in with Headlock, with WWE, with wrestling comics, right? Because he's a wrestler himself and he's a comic book artist and based in Auckland. And yeah, Mulipola, Michel Mulipola. If you don't know him, guys, check out his work, because we do
he's
have
a great artist.
a lot of and we last year, if you haven't seen the last videos from last year, check out the playlist on the comics and comic book Kiwis and comic books series. There's about 16, I think, or 10 episodes talking to very well-known Kiwi creatives who have put work out, like in DC, right? Won awards, Eisners and stuff like that, and and also worked in TV and animation. So we're talking about, like, I mean, how much does it cost to get into the cave and stuff like that? Is it like a fee, or is it free to get in? And
So the cave, and like I said, there's sort of numerous attractions there. I think there's like a little sort of video you can watch, like a little sort of history video, and there's like little.
You're right.
Free,
Okay.
but the two, if you want to sort of go beyond that, then I believe there is a fee. I'm not too sure how much it is. I don't think it's that expensive. So if you want to learn about kind of Weta Workshop and the history and kind of get a peek behind the scenes, certainly kind of worth your money. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, like, they worked on the Red Moon thing, right? And this is like the technical side, CGI and all that. And of course they was it like, I heard they're going to do like some sort of like a popcorn thing out of one of the ships, And so who designs that? Someone like Weta Workshop, right? They're artists and stuff.
Yeah.
Now
they're all over. They're all over the MCU as well, which I don't think people. They did a bunch of stuff for Disney and Marvel. So it like I said, I don't think people sort of get how big they are and how prolific they are. They did stuff for Game of Thrones. If you watch the special effects credits on like a big blockbuster movie, toss of a coin, you're going to see them somewhere. So they're all over the show, and they've been, I mean, to see where they're coming is fantastic.
I was trying. So one of the when I'm talking about animation, one of the news I heard today was that, like, Disney has been snubbed by the animation awards because of their poor record with animation.
Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, because like they had some, like, because of the CGI and stuff, there were lots of animation stuff. They do Wish and stuff like that, and they were left out of the awards. I mean, that's like the first time in forever, because Disney, has world-class animation before, but the stories they've been telling lately hasn't been doing that well for them. So that's just in passing. So I don't know what the deal with that was, but I saw a little video by Clownfish TV do that. So another event that's coming up, I don't know where Pororoa is, so you're gonna have to help me out here, bud.
Oh, Pororoa, yeah, it's sort of on the outskirts of Wellington. So I guess it's sort of like the Waitakere of Wellington, I guess.
That
Sort
doesn't
of
make sense
kind
to me either.
No, you're
No,
not Auckland, right? I keep assuming that you're in Auckland, but you're in Whangarei. Yeah, sort of on the outskirts of the of Wellington. Yeah.
Right. So this is Porero Rocks, and the reason I mention it is look at the art. Right, this is their poster.
Yeah.
You know, it's so cool. It's their poster, and I saw that and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But this is like we're talking about Michel Mulipola, right? Who's doing comics and so on and wrestling, and like this is a wrestling event. So this one here is, let me just pop us there. So it's on the 27th of April. So it's March, April. Yeah, so just after April, right? So this is twice in Auckland, Wellington. So you've got the other event that was on there, and then you've got this. So you got the Japan Fiesta with with cosplay, animation, manga, anime, and stuff like that. And then afterwards you got this event coming on the month following. Which actually, it's a month apart because the other one was on like the 2nd of March, I think.
I mean, Mikhail's got a great story too. I mean, great artist that just needed a break. I think he won a competition with like V energy drinks. And he basically had an opportunity to go to Comic-Con, and he leveraged that into a very successful art career. He's a stellar artist, and another sort of story where he's sort of big on South Auckland. We went to the same high school actually, high school. So a real good story for the south of Auckland and sort of central Auckland, I guess. He's done incredibly well for himself. I believe the last thing I heard of him, he was doing storyboards for Disney, or he was a cultural advisor for Disney. So he's done it all, man. He's very prolific, and he's I really like how he's branded himself too. He's a very, very good case study on how to sort of how to brand yourself. He's the whole sort of bloody someone kind of brand that he's built is like I said, a real good case study. If you're wanting to sort of learn how to market yourself as an artist and stand out from the crowd, Michael is is a pretty good sort of guy to watch. So
right. So one of my friends who I interviewed last year, right, for us, it was like a Whangarei Creatives Invade Plunge, right? So there's a playlist of Whangarei local creatives that I did interviews with. So this is Mike. Sorry, let me just bring it up. Mark Kelly, a good friend of mine, and his channel just to do with New Zealand creatives. Northern creatives, and it's moved into New Zealand creatives because there's only so many of us. But this is Northern Artist Conversations, and I've been on this show myself. Do an interview with him, and this is with Michelle here, Michel. Let me.
I think it's pronounced Mikhail. It's French. So, he's named after a French rugby player.
Right, a French rugby player, right?
Yeah.
Amazing gentleman, so cool.
So that's Mark Kelly, and check out his.
You're from Whangarei. What you do with your cousins, your own personal thing. So
okay, hold on. Let me just pop up and let's get to here. We'll just do just an intro level.
Disease. So, but I'm not going to judge you. You're from Whangarei. What you do with your cousins, your own personal thing. So no judgment.
I was like, what?
Everyone, my name's Mark Kelly.
What an intro.
I'd like to welcome our very special, distinguished guest, Michel Mulipola,
there you go,
to the Northern Artist Conversation. Thank you so much. We're going to keep that first part in. It's not. We're not cutting that out. That's just going to stay in there. I would like to point out though that this is Whangarei, not Hamilton.
Yeah,
that's familiar.
You're gonna start a turf war.
Thank you so much for coming in and making time for us, because you're really on a bit of a dash through Northland at the moment. I really appreciate you actually finding some time out of your evening, your relaxation time to come and sit down with us. It's really cool.
No problem. There's not much to do at night in Whangarei. So, I was
It
happy
is
to come
true.
in and chat to you guys. And
So I'll leave that there because it's like you guys can check out that interview yourselves. The link is in the chat, but you can search him up, and this is the search there. But also, hey, give my mates over at Northern Artist Conversations subscription and like, and also like, I mean, since we're there, let me just bring up my crap so you guys like because one of the things about interviews is very different to how someone like myself because when you're getting interviewed, it's kind of a different setting, which is why I like interviews as well as I like like what we do here. So I did one there as well. So if you guys want to check that out, this was like coming off like about 2022 or something. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, that was that's the thing. It's like it's the Kiwi humor, right? I mean, coming in and talking about like incest and all that, like right out of the thing, out of the park, and then like Mark does a really cool twist on them. Goes, oh, we're not. This is Whangarei, not Hamilton. It's like it's a suburb out of Auckland. It's about an hour and a half out there, and so yeah. So here's my little stab on that show as well. So one of the things is that myself and this the whole setup with this, if you guys watch, I mean Seba, that you'll find out that we have quite a good close connection with Mike Kelly, because he used to be our MC, and his camera people, like his tech people, actually worked out of on our sort of like got set up through our and helped us out through our convention and stuff, and that's how they met, and now they've got this, and it was really cool. And it's kind of like a Joe Rogan setting, and it is that professional. And it's not like
he's a good host. He's a really good host.
Yeah, and he is. And I don't know why this isn't playing, whatever the deal is. Let me just do a refresher. Let's try that. So
hyperactive like I am, and bit on the ADHD side, neuroscience side, and so you either become positive or you become negative. So if I let myself not be creative, I become negative.
Okay, sure.
So I need to keep my hands busy. I need to be focused on other stuff, and so I tend to be always be drawing. Well, not drawing so much now, but basically writing a lot and drawing on using digital media rather than actual pen and paper. But the other thing is like later on, like it was like I got drawn to glass because I went to art school, and
so that's that one. That's enough of me. So I mean, like I said, the setting there is very professional, and you get someone asking you questions quite different to just us shooting the breeze, whatever, because you're getting questions and you're really having to think about what you're going to say. And also the other thing is, it's a very pleasant environment to be in, and a very professional as well. So you're like trying to you're trying to be a professional yourself when answering the questions. And that's something that I like to do with with our own thing that we got going on with Plunge POP, right? Which is where we interview, like we got one coming up this weekend, where we interview inventive creatives, because I want to bring, showcase professionals as well, and how they got to where they got to in life. So this is on the Sunday, just a promo for the Sunday. At 12 midday, we'll be interviewing Tyler Carpenter from Draw and Talk. It's this guy is a American manga artist, writer, curator, right? So we've got like a 2-hour sit down, just to like the same thing, like with what I did with what Mark did with me. I'm doing the same thing with them, of course, across the screen. And so I mean, hit the notify button so you're notified, 40 hours time, whatever. But also 3 consecutive weeks, right? Every Sunday for the next 3 Sundays, we've got someone from overseas being interviewed. We've got John Stinsman. Like, I'll show you who John Stinsman is, right? So we've got John Stinsman week following. And let me bring up a piece of artwork that I actually own, like a comic that I actually own from John, and it's this. So I didn't, right. So this is Evangeline and Glory from Image Days, right? So this is like, as you can see, his name over. Am I on the right side?
Well, talk to me a little bit about George Stinson, Aru, because I haven't heard of him before. So give us sort of the background, give us the lowdown on what he's working on.
So John's, I'll bring up his Facebook. So John Stinson, I find him through Niobe Comics, who we're good, who we are friends with, due to doing Kickstarter, getting help and advice, and of course, whenever you get advice, you choose to listen or not listen. I'm the kind of guy who weighs it up, and usually, if I find something that's valuable, I'll take that on board and I'll change what I'm doing. I kind of am that sort of person. I'm not gonna be a sticker in the mud kind of person when it comes to something I don't know about. So this is John here. He's worked for so many companies and stuff, right? So let me see if we got an about page. Hold on, let me just get out of that. Go back to this. So he's gonna be on some other podcast, but I mean, I've got to interview him next week. Let me see if his artwork. So this is his most recent artwork for it's a mature comic for Nick Capone, right? So that's his art style here, kind of like that. Suppose bad girl art, that's somebody else's work, but this is him here, right? So you can see all the different artwork he's done, like Red Sonja, very, very good artist, right? I mean, top of his game. And he did, a cover for Niobe Comics, and so that's how I got to know him. And and I just I like to ask if you want to come and be interviewed, because that's what I enjoy doing, because I think we have technology has made it and social media has made it, like, here we go, here's some artwork from him, made our life easy as creatives, right? I mean, like the other week, right? Rex, you were asking, we had we did like a 4-hour stream with Shane
Evans.
Yeah, and you were asking us questions and stuff, and imagine that sort of situation where you get that sort of access to anybody in the world now because of technology and stuff. That's why I'm like so excited about the generation I'm living in right now, and I don't take it for granted, because we can see the the latest creations. We can watch people draw without even ever meeting them. We can watch them at their doing using the skills, showing how to do it, all the stuff, learning how to be a writer, research and stuff. You can Google an image from some country that you've never ever been to, or of a town. What do those people over there look like? And you boom, press a button. In the old days it was encyclopedia and only what was in there, right? Or Encarta, right?
Sure.
Stuff like that. People don't even know what Encarta is.
You have to
now.
You have to take a photo.
Yeah, I mean, Dad bought Encarta, and they're like a couple $100 or something for Encarta and stuff. Now it's like, you probably could buy it in a dollar bin, but for that time it was huge. So you've got, this is his artwork and stuff, and I hope that's his, that's what we got here. So this is from Niobe Penguina, and I'm not sure if that's all. If that's all his work there, can't be sure, but I mean, I know his work with Niobe. Now, so I've got him, and I've also got another gentleman who works in this like more mature content, Max DeVille, as well. But I mean, this is this is something I'm like I said, I'm a hoarder when it comes to pop culture. So I buy whatever I see, and and now you can see that all these years later, I get to actually interview this person, and I've got his his work in my hand. And this is why I love this this time we live in, because of that. It's just, life has just become so much easier. Now, one thing we're going to talk about, like competition. So there is a huge competition on right now. A lot of money involved, a lot of opportunities involved, and I'll get you to go through this, Rex. So I'm not talking through all this thing. So this is where are you? There we go. So this is called Global Comic Awards. Now I'm going to give you the link, Rex, so as well, so we can pop it out there. So it's in chat, but I'll check it over at for people who who want to try their hand at competitions, right? So there's a Global Comic Awards here for Pixiv. I don't know much about them, but I got this in my email because I use Clip Studio Paint, and which used to be called Manga Studio, right? X, and back in the day, or Manga X Studio Pro. I'm a monthly subscriber. You know, every month I pay like something about $15 or something, $20, whatever it is, and I'll put that up soon so you can see for yourself what's out there. But they teamed up with, and before that, Clip Studio Paint itself does a lot of competitions to support.
Yeah, they do.
And artists. So I'll bring that up as well. So you've got the, do you want to run through what information is here? And I'll just bring it up a bit, like
well, this is the first time I would say. I mean, Pixiv is sort of like an Eastern DeviantArt, I guess. I mean, that might be underselling it a little bit, but
right.
But yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Clip Studio Paint sort of runs competitions all the time. I think on sort of like a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Even they sort of run like illustration sort of competitions. So this sort of looks like it's sort of a more kind of comic orientated awards, and this looks like it has a pretty big manga bent to it. I mean, Clip Studio Paint is pretty big in Japan. You look at their sort of material assets, like half of them are like the descriptions are all written in Japanese. But yeah, I mean, if you're a local sort of manga artist, this might be a break. Who knows? Yeah,
I mean, look, and I'm a huge promoter of Clip Studio because that's what I use. I've been using it for 20 odd years, right? And it's a good tool, right? And it's it's on like tablets, it's on mobiles and stuff, and like it's cheap. Like I said, you can pay monthly, or you can pay $200 and buy it. So I actually did that. I bought one for myself, and I gave it to my nephew, and I gave one to another artist, with Rising Sun Comics. And I said, here, look, this is what I use, so let's use that, and then we can like interchange stuff. Nothing really happened of that, but my nephew's been using it and stuff, and I've been using the monthly, so I actually spent 3 times the amount because there's 3 people got to share it, because he's on, I think at that time I was like Mac, and then I've got it on my Mac, then I've got PC, then I've got PC again with my desktop. So you can get free, get a free trial version for a month or whatever, and see if you like it. If you don't, check it out. But it's not only that, there are so many tools to learn from, like they do 3D animation tools. You can, let me pop over to my other screen. Give me 1 sec. Carry on, Rex, and I'll just grab the other screen.
Yeah, I mean, I use it too. I mean, it's certainly if you're a hobbyist, it's certainly probably the best, I would say, alternative if you're making comics. An alternative to Photoshop, it has a pretty bit. I like that. It also has a community sort of attached to it as well. There's sort of a lot of, it's hard to describe, but it's no, I use it. I think it's a great program. There are some features that just aren't there. It doesn't do it all, but I think if you're entering, entering into comic making and the craft, it's more than a good starting point. You can put something world class out with that program. I mean, a lot of it's again has a big sort of manga bend to it. And I know a lot of manga artists use it and create like, world class sort of, mangas. So yeah, it's a great program, and the price point ain't bad either.
That's what attracts me to it. Like, has always attracted to me. Like here's the thing. I'm going to be honest, and everybody, if you guys have watched me, you know that I actually used a cracked version of this early on, and but
we've all been there. We've all been there.
The money, right? So, but however, like I remember, like I did an interview with Creative North, and I said like, and so now that I can afford it, I went out and bought it. And then I bought it again, and then I bought it again, because and and I think companies should allow for that, because, I think not everybody can afford $200 when they're just starting out in comics, whatever, manga. So, you have to, you end up selling the high seas. But look, when you can, here I am, right? And so, I'm spending money on it. I'm encouraging other people. And I think a lot of time people get stuck on the fact that, oh, you should never pirate anything. But dude, how you going to learn if it's not, and then like, if and then of course, when you want to publish work, it's going to have watermarks. So you got to buy that product to actually publish work. So that's where it comes in, where you actually go, all right, now it's time to, and the other thing with this, and I'm not saying I encourage pirating, but there is a balance to shit. And, and you can't sometimes be held back by the fact you don't have money to, to advance, because once you do get advanced, then you can go back and buy that product and then use it. And so the other thing we're talking about, like the different things that are here on this, right? So this is me messing around. I mean, this is just there, but, making, like speech bubbles, text and stuff like that, chucking in images. But let me bring in some art and how I use this for lettering. So this is something I do, right? So let me see, is it page 5? I don't know what page this is, so please excuse me what's going to come up. So here we go. So I get to do all the framing and stuff like this, all different types. So you notice that there's 2 different types of frames here, right? The lettering's different. I get to choose, over here, I get to choose the, let me bring this down a bit. It's very small in this screen because I use like a 43 incher, and I'm on like a 16 inch or maybe even a 14 inch computer screen. So you've got all these bubbles, right? It makes it so easy. You just go boom, and now you're going to like, pop that across, and you resize it. You go over here to text, you go right, and then you resize it, and you're ready to go. However, I'm very pedantic. I want certain text, I want certain sizes, I want like everything's got the font types and all that's got to be, there. So I'm very, when it comes to lettering, I'm very, focused on how I do it. It usually takes me about two hours a page, and that's a lot for just lettering a page, but that's because I'm writing and correcting and everything myself at the same time. Now, you got panels, right? You can resize panels. You got background if you're doing color. You got all this stuff here, tools and stuff. But one of the things that I want to really focus on is what Rex has talked about. Now, this is the studio, right? And I think it's popped over on my other screen. So let me pop over and grab that again. Yeah, it has. So this is the studio, and you've got like a cloud where artists can share work. You can buy tools from those guys. Yeah. Here you go. So the latest update is 2.3.2. This is like that. So you've got this come up. Here we go. Tips of the month. You get 20K for having a cool tip. Get materials. You've got other artists. Let me see, model tools, right? Stuff like that. You got a modeler, and this is for helping if you're doing animation, but also if you're doing comic books, right? You make your 3D model and you turn it around. Now it's doing this. Now it's doing that. Or now it's doing, doing whatever, because it's easier for it to think. And I've heard even today, somebody was saying they use Blender to do that. And so they just turn the thing around on a 3D, so it's easier for them to do that. So now you've got assets as well. That's part of this. But there's brushes and everything, getting new stuff coming up all the time. And that's free, or you can buy it from other artists around the world, right? So people, it's just the economy, right? Here's a go. So somebody designed this 3D model, right? So now you can basically use it and buy it, you know, for like whatever the cost there is from whoever this person here is selling it, you know, or free download. Look at that, you know. So you've got all these different amazing stuff because of this one community. I know Adobe has that as well, but I think Clip Studio, you know, is probably for myself, for what I've used in the past, like Illustrator and all that stuff. For me, as a comic creator, this is the best thing out there, and it's cheap, you know. So this is 3D model here, you know, so, you know, shoes, right, stuff like that. So, and it's 3D, so you can move it around and so on, and all these things. Like, it's so many things, backgrounds, you know, and for 1,000 CP credit points, you know, credit points, whatever, you can use this. And so you see a lot of this in manga, because when you're doing a chapter a week, dude, you don't have time to go in over and over again, right? So, you know, you can utilize, and of course this is Japan, so, you know, whatever, there'll be other countries as well. And I think that's a great thing for me, because I'm not there using this, but sometimes I think I used it housing for cover, but then I went over and did my own, you know, touches to it. So that's that. But let's get back to the competition, and I'll get you to carry on with that one, bud. And this is Global Awards.
Well, this is the first time I'm seeing it, so I think you're a little more kind of knowledgeable of it.
Yeah, I haven't had a look at it that much, because like when I thought like, oh, Global Comic Awards, and then I go read it, it goes, oh, manga, right? And I'm like, then I went to Twitter and said, hey, attention, you know, at Pixiv and Clipsio, manga is manga, comics is comics, right? Because, you know, don't confuse the two, because there's two different uniquely amazing art styles. And so you know, it kind of feels this like deceptive in that sense. But I'm sure, you know, but of course you go to the page and go, there it is. You know, it could have said, I think in a sense they want to encourage Westerners and people outside of Japan to be entering into it, you know, opening it for everybody. So I think, you know, it's open now, right? So 6 p.m. 6th of January to March 31st. So you got what, 2 entire months or whatever, 3 months. What are we, like about 12 today? So yeah, you know, 2.5 months or whatever, just over. But do, you know, check it out. I mean, like, seriously, check it out. This is the address there. It's in chat. So, you know, you can search Global Comic Awards 2024. Lots of stuff is up for, you know, up for price wise. You get, so it's free in free category or theme category, and there's a time on it. Time is a free, you know, for the theme category. Now, how to participate, register, and so on. You can check that out. Now, the important thing here is look at all the people that are supportive of this, right? The sponsors of this, so that you know it's a huge thing with the support. You got Kodakawa, which is a huge manga anime producing house. You know, and you've got people here I haven't even heard of, but like, you know, there's so much stuff out here. I think is that Shonen Jump Young? That's something I've heard of.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, manga. Oh, okay. No, I'm glad you guys didn't see that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't be. Yeah, I wouldn't be clicking on random Japanese.
Yeah, I'm glad the logo.
logos,
I'm like,
yeah.
how the hell? Yeah, I'm glad you guys didn't see it, because it popped up to a new thing, you know, a bit of cheese, right? Let's just say that it's a bit of cheese. But it wouldn't got us demonetized, that's for sure. But I mean, not that we are, I mean banned. But it will, you know, it is what it is. But there was a lot, you know, manga art and stuff like that. So you get opportunity here to test your skill set, you know, and see where you're thinking. If you're thinking like, oh, you know what, I don't know if I'm good enough, or, you know, where I am at. But look, if you feel that way, test your mettle. And not only that, sometimes competition is good because you learn. I'm sure these guys are going to come back and say, hey, this is why you didn't get it, or think. So here we go. So like, we're calling for submissions in both free and themed categories. Exceptional creators might even get the chance to debut, guided by actual editors. Right? So you want to break into manga, yeah, in Japan, Shonen Jump and all that stuff, right? This is where this is your chance. This was your chance to showcase your manga to a global audience. Don't miss out. Join us and let your talent shine, as I said. So, check it out, because you never know, right? If you don't try, you'll never know, right? So check it, try it out. Do you have anything for us, Rex? Have you been looking out and seeing anything?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was ready to talk about some local comics. That's what I'm keen to do. If you're ready to jump into that. Yeah. I mean, I basically it's interesting, right? You invited me in the show, talk about local comics, and then after the invitation, I shortly realized I didn't really have sort of a finger on the scene. Really, I didn't really know what was going on. I was sort of got anxious all of a sudden. So what I did, I went on Facebook and sort of put a call out on the New Zealand Comics Creators group, and a couple of people sort of jumped in and said, "Hey, I've got this going, I've got that going." So we could go through that a little bit if you wanted, if you're keen. Lots of different types of names, sort of through their 10 cents in the hat, so to speak. Some exciting announcements. There's a couple of things that were on my radar that didn't come up on that chat. So if you want to run through some things, why not?
Yeah, so this is Robert Jordan. So this is somebody who put up there. So do you want to read that? Do you need a link from me for that, or?
I think I can see here. 1 week to go. Under my house is a 32-page liminal horror comic created and self-published by me. It'll be available in both paperback and Kindle format on Amazon. So I think he's just sort of announced that kind of in the last week. Right. Looks kind of interesting. I haven't had a chance to have a look at the Kindle preview, but I'm pretty sure he's sort of a new on the scene. Yeah.
I don't know what liminal horror means. Do you know what that means?
Liminal horror? No, let's have a learning moment and look it up. Liminal horror. Liminal. Let's just look at it.
I've got my VPN on, and so Google's like going, "No, you need to sign up all this stuff and expose yourself before we let you find out what that means." So liminal horror, right? How would you define liminal horror? So here we go.
Here you go. So it's a horror that takes place in a space between two states of being. So when I Google it, the back rooms, if you've sort of seen that kind of I don't know, meme video rolling around. I think they turned it into a video game. That's sort of the example that's commonly thing. So I guess Silent Hill would probably be the big example that I could think of. Video game. They did a bunch of comic book stuff as well. Kind of interesting.
So you're thinking like it's that place where for me, the way I would describe it, if it was like from what I'm understanding here, not that I know anything about it, is that it's kind of like where you're kind of like half asleep. Is that
that's I think you're exactly right. Sort of lucid dreaming, sort of just before passing over to the beyond when you're dying. That sort of that sort of thing. So kind of real interesting kind of subject matter to be dealing with. Yeah, I had one that I think has been. He has posted stuff on the New Zealand Comics page, but I think he's a relatively newcomer. So his name's Peter May. I'll chuck this in the chat. So he's working on a digital comic called Our Legends, which is sort of like a multi-fantasy series. Based on sort of myths and legends from Hawaii, I think he's described it. This guy. I know he's been posting pages periodically. I've posted a link in the private chat of like sort of an article about, and there's some examples of his work there.
Thank you. I'll just bring it up. Let's see.
I mean, this guy's got something special going on. You know, I actually went. It's funny. I went to animation school with him,
all right.
and it's been interesting to see sort of. He's always had a very sort of like an original approach to you know, visual storytelling, and it's been really interesting to see sort of him work out his own formula. You know what I mean? Like he's sort of always been very, very creative and out the gate with his sort of compositions and subject matter and his sort of approach to line art, and he's sort of cracked the code a little bit. You know what I mean? He's sort of starting to sort of figure out his style, and the stuff that he's making has been really, really special. The compositions, I mean, the colors are, you know, fantastic. If you got kids, you know, really, really, you know, awesome. It's just been really kind of cool to see kind of how far he's come. And the work that he's producing is incredible. I mean, you know, some of these pages are just incredible. The compositions are great. Go check it out.
I mean, like the art. I love, if I was like you know, putting out a comic, I asked him to do a cover because of their style, right? And you know, it's very poppy. It's very you know, animated looking. I love this one here. Just this composition, like the pose.
Yeah.
You know, like the angle is really cool.
A lot, very.
I would just amazing cover alone, right?
Yeah, very very ambitious sort of compositions and sort of page sort of structure. You know, there's nothing that's no pages that are sort of you know, where the composition is sort of just sort of, you know, beat up. It's he's swinging for the fences, you know, and it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it.
And here's the thing, it'll draw young kids into it, like asterisks to us, right? And what asterisks and obliques tend to do us. This will draw young Maori kids, Pasifika kids into it, as well as, you know, European kids, but mainly Pasifika and Maori, because it has Maori content, it has Maori characters, you know, and like, you know, people, and this is original, right? This is a cool thing about it. And like, it's talking about Maui and stuff like that, which we know about, you know, it's part of our legend mythology of Maori culture in New Zealand and stuff. So, you know, for that alone, you know, learning about stuff like that is pretty cool. So Peter Mai, right? So this is the gentleman.
Peter Mai, yeah, that's his name. Yeah. So he's a sort of a Māori artist. Probably he's probably about my age. Yeah.
Do you want to read that out?
Peter Mai has been an artist for most of his life, working on projects all across the country and abroad. Our Legends debuts his first independent project, reimagining some of the most famous stories of Hawaii, Aotearoa, and South Pacific through a modern Māori lens. It was an attempt to connect social and environmental aspects of today to our cultural legends of the past, to inspire the future legends of tomorrow. So, as you know, you that's a pretty good, that's a pretty sweet elevator pitch there. I mean, yeah, if you're listening to this, I mean, you gotta sort of check the video out to see sort of these compositions. They're incredible. He's, like I said, he's really sort of onto something here, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better, which is cool. He's
carry on.
No, that basically sums it up. That was sort of the main kind of under the radar kind of project that I wanted to highlight. What else was there? I believe there was, when I put the call out, there were a lot of watch this space. You know what I mean? A lot of, hey, I'm working on this and it's coming out later this year. So
and I love that, right? Yeah. I love that because I think this is your one here, right? So of course, you know, you've got like things, and which I have in my hand here, which I haven't read yet because I just haven't had the time. I mean, we did like we said, we did a 4-hour interview session, you know, which, by the way, I broke up into clips, and so that, you know, make it easier on people, and if, you know, so that when you you know, when you watch it, you watch what you want to watch from it, or if you want to say, oh, I just want to learn about his art, you know, his working on it. Oh no, I just want to see what his art. And so what I did was, and I haven't finished yet because it's so long, you know, 4 hours. It was a, you know, it was a pretty pretty cool interview, you know, session, I should say. Let me see, because I've got clips of that already out, so you can actually grab clips of that. Give me 1 sec. I think I just lost my screen because of some, you know, timeout thing.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I can rattle off a couple of these sort of watch the space type stuff, if you're keen, Aru. So we have a number of sort of vets that sort of came through and said, "Hey, I'm working on this." So we'll wait for Aru to kind of come back and so discuss those. But there were a couple of new new people to the scene that kind of had like. You know, we're debuting their thing, so it's a little bit hard to see how they will turn out. But Gabrielle Allen, young artist, sort of said, "Hey, I'm working on my first comic book." I've got a chance to have a look at her Instagram, and her figure drawing is top notch, you know, so I'm excited to see what she comes up with. Hopefully that figure drawing she's got a bunch of life drawing and like character design stuff on her Instagram, so I'm sure that will translate into a good project. She didn't sort of say what she was working on or not, but you know, maybe a potential rising star. But I mean, you know, Paul Jason Young of Gunface fame, you know, mentioned that he was sort of working on something again. Didn't sort of kind of describe what he was working on, but he said it was going to be sort of like a digital thing, sort of released, you know, every week. I think he said, yeah, weekly series. So you know, he's top notch. If you've had a look at Gunface, it's sort of kind of in the vein of Max Payne, I guess. Max Payne, sort of Ed Brubaker type stuff. It is on there. His name is Paul Jason Young. He's been around the bush. He's or maybe that's not the best term, but he's been around. He's you know,
around the track.
What's that? Sorry.
He's been around the track.
He's been around the track. There you go. That's it's been around the bush is sort of like wasting time, isn't it? He's been around the track. You know, he's you know, but he's very, very good artist, has a very unique style. So I'm sort of excited to see kind of what he comes up with. There
you go. Yeah. So he's a digital artist. And like, here's the thing. We do have amazing, you know, digital and traditional artists in New Zealand, you know. And so you get to see amazing works out here. And so this is... what is he talking about? He's saying like pop over there. So this is I apologize about big things in work. So this is what I think this is what you're talking about, right? Big things in work that he's got going.
So
on.
I don't know if that's the project he's working on or that's something else. But I mean, if you look at I think it's I think the comic is called Gunface. I think you can get it in comic stores across the country.
Okay, let me just see if
that's sort of. I don't know if he's changed styles a lot over the years, and I remember some of his early stuff. There you go. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So that's kind of. I mean, if you look at the colors, it's very kind of noirish for one of a better term. But you know, I mean, you know, some of those panels there are incredible. You know.
Reminds me of
real exciting to see what he comes up with.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of this sort of not so much so, but like you know, you got like stuff like you know, whatchamacallit, kind of, you know, the Sin City sort of look, right?
Sort of Sin City, yeah.
But it's all Dick Tracy, right? It's probably more Dick Tracy than Sin City. With Will Eisner? With Dick Tracy?
I'm not too sure. I couldn't tell you. Let's look.
But it's I mean, it's great.
Yeah, sort of, kind of noirish. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's I mean, Sin City's a neo noir. Yeah.
I was actually supposed to interview him. We
Yeah,
were
there you
supposed
go.
I was supposed to get sent some work, and and actually have us interview with Paul, and somehow it fell through. I don't, we just sort of postponed it, and but yeah, I mean,
Well, there
this
you
is
go. I
some.
mean, that's with the colors. So it's very kind of I mean,
Yeah,
how would you
I'm definitely
describe it?
getting a
Sort of
copy of this.
very,
Yeah,
very kind of photorealistic coloring with kind of overlaid kind of you know, more sort of like traditional ink work, I guess.
yeah,
Still digital, but it's lineup
awesome.
nonetheless. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff. And it would be again a watch this space, a really interesting watch this space. There are a couple of things. What else was there? I'm just madly scrolling through. Shane Evans, obviously.
Yeah.
Earth said there
Oh,
was.
I mean, like as we talked about Shane, so being on there, so the link is there in the post there, and I'm going to bring up some other stuff soon as well. What's going to be happening with our friend Jason Lenny over at at Funtime in a minute, but
that was the other
his
thing as well. Yeah.
yeah. So this is what we talked about on that 4-hour stream, the longest single person interview that I've ever done, but it wasn't an interview. It was more like a discussion that we had about everything from like pop culture, movies, horror movies, to comic books, creating comic books, seeing real art, seeing his actual physical work, on that stream, and seeing, talking about this, which is a fan art that he put on the back cover from one of our friend. We actually looked at the actual life size, A3 size workspace or page space that he works on, and seeing the changes he makes with Lightbox between the two, and stuff that you have with why artists change what they change and what's the reasoning behind it, and stuff like that. So I mean, as you know, I write comics and create worlds and stuff. So for me, it was good to see. I mean, I always like working with artists because that's their skill set. But I get to work with different artists, and I get to see their different art styles. So like you go from something like that, right, a digital painted kind of like work, and then you've got Shane's work and so on, but also at least then you've got like dystopian art, dystopian story and stuff, and the kind of like in the vein of, for his series, like I think it's about 4 issues now, dystopian Mad Max type setting, but you were talking about Jason and his Funtime Comics. So you guys can actually buy and purchase Funtime Comics works, and I would bring up some myself. Do you want to talk a bit about this?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously sets up sort of a semi-regular Kickstarter, and sort of funds to kind of get funding for these. I mean, this is sort of, I would say, the premier kind of anthology for New Zealand comics, and there's pretty eclectic group of work there. It's I mean, there's some absolute gems there. I mean, the Simon Fletcher, the cover you can see behind the Funtime logo. I mean, I don't know where he came from. He came from some other planet, but his artworks there. He's incredible. Yeah, I mean, if anthologies are fantastic if you're kind of in between titles, or you're just wanting to sort of find something new. I'm sort of in that sort of mode where I'm not really collecting anything, so I'm buying anthologies and things like Flight and things like that. So this is sort of, if you're wanting to kind of get a sense of who's coming up in the New Zealand scene, if you want something new, if you're just interested in sort of short stories, Funtime is certainly the ticket. Yeah, they're available in most, I would say, New Zealand comic book stores. They're at Armageddon constantly, at the usually at the New Zealand Comic Creators stall. So I believe, Aru, you have interviewed the guy Jason Lenny who prints this.
Yeah, so
who also printed Shane Evans' book as well. So that's
doing
exciting
comics
too.
in print, because he's a publisher himself. So
Yeah.
and this is the thing, like the difference in I mean, like for Kiwis, it's like, you know, when this is why I like actually anthologies and stuff for myself, because I'm working on one called Robot Nation. Is that you can actually, you know, get a whole lot of different styles in it. And a lot of people don't like that, right? But if you're a new person or amateur, or, you know, trying to break out or show people what you're doing, it's a good way to put stuff into something like this. So I'm going to just pop that away so you can get a look. So this is, you know, I think this is one that I bought myself, right? And this is from a while back. This is 27. I think we're up to like about 30 something now, or 40. So I think it gets put out once or twice a year, you know, so you get a chance to showcase all different types of work. So you don't necessarily, let me just pop you out there, bud, and I'll just showcase some work here. So, you know, you got different art styles from different people. So if you have a look here, you know, a bunch of names. And here's the thing. You might not know who's going to pop off, right? Who's going to suddenly break out. And this is, you know, you get to kind of get to have a taste of their work and stuff like this. You know, you've got works that are totally, you know, might not be your cup of tea, but there are other works that might be. And you know, this is the one way to get your work out there. And you know, this one's kind of like more heavy on this, like, you know, kind of like more like an cartoony side of things. But of course, you know, there are different works as well. So this was Faction, was another comic that came out. I've got one. It kind of is a defunct thing, but hopefully they bring it back. But you know, like we said, like cartoony in this sense, but maybe that was the thing for this one, you know, that we do make it look like that. But then you've got stuff like this, right? And so this is from Amras Kadir. What's this? Who's this artist on here? Yeah, Amaros Kadir. All right. So I have no, you know, that way. Right. So there's the name there. And let me see if there's any other page works. This is someone else. This is Kronos. Not sure who the artist. Oh, Jared Lane. Right. So you get, you know, working sort of. I lost your connection, Rex. Can't bring you back up. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to wait for that. But the other thing, oh, he's back. So, you know,
I'm just going to step out for a bit. I'll be right back. All right.
Okay. So I'm always like looking for what's out there, you know, in the New Zealand scene in the past. So this is a hardcover I picked up from like a hospice or something, or second situation. So this is Tanifa, the monster book for New Zealand children, right? So I wonder who did that artwork on the cover there. Let's see. Cover by, is anything? Cover. So there's comics in here by Graham Kyle. Never heard of the gentleman. So there's a couple, and there's articles in here. The world around his activities, right? Outdoor adventure and sports, poems and stories. So, you know, so you've got stuff like this in here, you know, as well as, you know, little illustrations and stuff. And, you know, these are books for kids from, like, what year is this from? You know, Hot started in 1985, right? So it's almost, is that 40 years ago almost? You know, this is A Secret Life of the Lost Tribe. There's a comic strip, I guess, comic book strip. You know, it's about 4 pages. And that is by Phil Wardle, right? Then you've got stuff like this, you know, learning stuff. And, you know, this is when you don't have digital media, right? Then you didn't have comics and, internet and stuff 40 years ago, right? And so you've got stuff like this, you know, illustrations and paintings and so on. I'd say that's like maybe a watercolor, you know, another one, Mawa, you know. And so Yeah, but marbles, right? It used to be a huge thing, right? I mean, I had a whole bag full and stuff, and was like, that was our pastime as Kiwi kids, right, in the 80s. Here's something interesting. This is Space Games by Carol McDonald, and this is a short story with illustrations by Gary Meeson, right? Look at that. Here's, oh, the other way. So check that out. And talking about that, I'm just thinking in my head, talking about that, let me bring that screen up and I can show you, I guess I'm, as a sci-fi writer, I'm doing sci-fi myself right now, as you know. So here's the latest, if you're following us, right, on Comics and Ramblings podcast, right? This is totally, so this is the second issue we're working on for Robot Nation, which is an anthology series, right? I'm hoping to do about 4 or 6 issues and then put it together as a trade paperback, hopefully in full color. Hopefully by that time we'll have raised enough money to pay for a colorist to do that and so on. So this is one of the short stories in issue 2. Let me... hold on. So I think I'm going to have to pop over to the other screen. Now, if you guys remember when still waiting for Rex, he's just stepped out. But one of the things, before I go and show other stuff, I want to bring up some other stuff from comics, New Zealand comics community that was talked about. Now, one item that I'm buying, I just haven't had time to go and sort it out, is this work here. Now, Chopper Chick Comics, this. Let me just go back to that main page. Hopefully I haven't lost it. So this is a self-published work in 2000 by Greg Bradmore. And you're thinking, like, why am I interested in this? Why would I spend money and buy this? Because it's New Zealand comic history, right? And I was like, if I'm going to buy all the stuff from overseas or from other people, why am I not supporting New Zealand comic creatives? So for me, I mean, look at this artwork, right? Hold on, let me go there. All right, I looked at this artwork. I said, hey, have you still got it? It's mine. Tonight I'll be paying it as soon as I get thing, because I've got all the bank details. But look at the artwork, on this. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. I love, all these pencil illustrations and stuff. I don't know if there's like a story to in there as well. But 2002, right? I mean, he did it in 2000, but 2002 is when it probably came out. Urbanist Media. So it was by Greg Broadmoor. Yeah, Greg Broadmoor. And that was his first published comic through Wellington's Urbanist publications. So I'm quite, I was glad to see that come up. Let me just pop back out. Right, so we looked at other work. So there's another person out here doing comics, and this is Shaggy Comics. Right, so it's kind of like I've asked him to come in, but he said I think it's that Harry. If it's Harry, then it's probably he had work in the morning and wasn't able to come and talk. Hopefully, sometime we'll have him come up and check it out. So I'll put his and here's something. Okay, so here's something for folks out here who are new to understanding how to do a good link for your business or your art page. Do not leave numbers there, right? Because it's just silly. So this is like when you're doing like and I've said it to stores as well. Stores have made this mistake as well. So sorry, Rex, I'll bring you back on. Is that
No
like
problem.
You should go into your profile and change your name to your name, right? And I'm just not picking on Shaggy. I've had to do that myself. Like I was like, shit, how do I fix this? Because when people go to my page, I want them to be able to write on my page name / and get there, and it'll help you. It'll get traffic to you, right? It'll bring people to you, like this one here, right? I mean, like sorry, not that one, but that's a website, right? So if you go to say our own page, right, which is right Plunge Studios NZ, you'll notice, right, it'll pop up. If I'm on home, right, let's go home. So if we go there, it'll pop up here, right? So this is our studio page. You know, it tells you what we're up to, where we're going. And so I changed the link in the name and the profile to Plunge NZ, right? So no longer is it a number, no longer it's harder to find you. So it's just Plunge NZ, right? So everything we do is Plunge, right? It's Plunge Convention. You can go to that page. It's Plunge Convention. If you go to that, it's Plunge. If you go to Plunge Cast, it's Plunge Cast, right? If you go to our podcast page, and so on. So you got to brand yourself. And even if you bring out a comic book, do that as well, because it's branding your comic book. It's worthwhile letting people know who you are, what you're creating. So it's easier to people to follow you if you're creating out here. You know, it's okay if your name's your brand, but I mean, you know, it's better if you set yourself with a business mind right from the start and make it easy on yourself going forward. Think about how you want to be perceived in the world, how people find you. Because look, there's millions of people with pages out here doing comic books, but how do they find you? You know, brand yourself really well if you're starting out. Rex, welcome back.
Thanks, man. Apologies. I mean, this is something that I wanted to ask you. I mean, we've sort of brushed over a couple of things in the New Zealand scene, but I mean, obviously, you have sort of. I mean, it's funny how I've sort of come into the show, right? Like I've been sort of in the community, and then you're gone, hey, come on, and what have you. But at the end of the day, I'm still sort of getting up to speed with what Plunge is doing. I'm still sort of quite new, kind of,
Sure.
So I mean, if you liked, I don't want to put you on the spot, unless you had sort of anything else in the scene to go over. The only other thing that I had, other than I'm glad that you brought up on time, because I was going to skip over it, but Earth's End recently put out Tsunami, which is, I mean,
Right.
I don't know too much about the project, but Earth's End always puts out like super sort of polished work.
Adrian is amazing, right? Adrian is amazing. Like, you know, I've interviewed Adrian. I'm friends with him and so on. I've known him since 2009, maybe 7-ish, you know, and this is who we're talking about, Adrian, all right? So this is a guy who researched, right? One day, hopefully he puts out volume 2 one day and I'll be in it, right? With Incredible or whatever. But this is the best news on comics, right? So this is who it's Earthsenders. Gosh, who did he publish this under? Because this is
Random House.
Yeah, no, it's Godwit. Maybe it's Random House Godwit, something like that. But look at the, you know, I mean, seriously, this is freaking a masterpiece, right? All right, and so that's all, Adrian, there. And so we'll pop over to Earth's End and we'll talk about what you're going to ask me about.
I mean, you could even sort of make a podcast episode about Earth's End's projects. I mean, you know, they are. I guess it's Adrian, but you know, whoever's in charge of sort of you know, just as a product, you know, the comics are fantastic, but just the polish, on the branding, everything is you know, world class, is absolutely world class. So, you know, I mean, whether we do this again next week or what have you, I don't know. Maybe that's worth sort of an episode in itself, because Earth's End, I mean, you know, Adrian has sort of made it his kind of mission to bring to light New Zealand comics that you know, have been produced in the past that maybe have not got their shine, or think, you know, he thinks that sort of you know, need you know, another sort of life, you know, another attempt in the market, basically.
Sure.
You know,
I mean,
and he's it's again, really nice crafted books that they put out. It's incredible.
Well, I've actually talked to Adrian, and he's going to come in this year. There's like some sort of anniversary happening, so we're going to have
Okay.
we're going to have a real good podcast with him, specifically to do with Sand. I talked to him last year. He said, "Hey, we got something coming up next year. I'd love to do that at that point, and rather than now." And with someone who he works full time as well, so whatever he's doing on the side to promote New Zealand comics. And like I said, I'd love to be in issue 2 if you're listening to this, volume 2, the next 20 odd years or whatever. Because, and also not only just me, and I'm sure there's Shane's there. I'm sure there's, whoever missed out on this with the new upcomers like Paul, Paul Young, John Young, whatever, stuff like that. Shaggy Comics, or maybe do a last 20 years type thing, because that'd be cool. But then again, it's all about the market as well. And that's why I think, for me personally, I think that's why Funtime Comics is so cool for me. I think what Jason's doing with that community is cool, and it's such a good, good work. I want to put something up here in the sense that I missed out on. So this is what's coming up, right? So please sign up for this. This is part of Kickstarter Backer Kit. In 25 days, they're going to launch this, this project. I heard about this last year, and every now and then I'll get a message from Jason saying, yeah, this, and I'm quite excited about what he's got coming up, and not just in comics. There's some other stuff he's got coming up, and I'm quite excited about that because for me, it's the more people in this space, and I'm in YouTube and podcasting from New Zealand, the better. Everybody's got their own little style and doing things, and it's really cool to see what's coming out. And Pandemania, right, which was produced, is that here? Oh, no, it's not here. And I'm going to mention this as well in a minute. Remind me to mention this. But I'll go find Pandemania because it's here somewhere. Do you want to carry on talking about Funtime, Bud, while I find Pandemania?
Sure. I mean, that's the Kickstarter. Yeah. I mean, they're always the last, I would say, yeah, it's a consistent product. It's been awesome. I mean, even for the covers themselves, it's been awesome. That's Scott Fletcher. I think that's his name, Scott Fletcher, with the one with the Tui. That's
right.
I mean, that's a great cover there. So
let me see if I can zoom in there so we can see a better look. Now, which one are you talking about? The Tui?
yeah, so the middle one there.
This one
guy
here.
that's getting shot with the beam. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So like we were saying, 27. So number 35's coming up, and they're going to launch it on Kickstarter. The links in the chat. So chuck in your emails. So you'll let known when you're notified when it comes up. Talking about notify, hit our on Plungecast, hit that notify button on our upcoming videos. There's more cool interviews coming up, more weekly for the next 3 weeks. We're going to have this show on. We got guests looking to come on. Welcome convention people, runners, welcome artists, writers, creatives, whatever you're in the independent, mainly independent, but whatever's the art scene you're in, we welcome you. If you're a painter, hell, I know a friend of mine who paints, and so just get them to do painted covers, right? That's out there. So I mean, join these groups, like New Zealand comics community. Join what is the other one we got here? And I'm going to pop that up. Let me just see. So there's Make Comics New Zealand, which is run by Shane Evans. And some friends. And there's about 200 people there now, and they're joining up there on this page. It started out from Array, right? And so now it's kind of gone more national. Great creative Kiwis creating comics, right? So you got Shaggy up there. Then you've got this one here, Film Tui Mai. We're talking about different art styles and stuff.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
stuff like that. And it's not, it's different people putting up different stuff. Matthew Wells here, Sword Comics, this one here, of course, with Shane's one. And it's probably like by December now. I've just bought 2 copies because I always like to have 2 copies of my, of his comics, because I know that I can have one for me to keep and one if I decide to give away to someone or maybe comp out, whatever. Max Haywood, work here. Of course, Justin Young, friend of a channel. We've interviewed him many times, and he's talking. I wonder what he's doing. So here, let's have a look at his. He's done a review here.
He was on your podcast not too long ago. He was talking about his book. I think it's Freak. I think it's called, sort of horror book.
Yeah, so it's actually done pop over to. He's got a channel himself, so give him a sub. So let me bring that up, and I'll bring up the Pandemania in a sense, but here's his channel. So
glowing.
Let me copy the link and let's see what he's got to say.
Hi everyone, welcome to my very first comic book review. Don't get too excited or think that these are going to be a regular thing. I'm only going to do comic reviews or anything reviews when something exciting comes along or when something clean and crisp and bold. And he's really dialed that up a few notches.
Okay, hold on. Let me just bring up. So he's talking about this book here, right? So this is Ben Stenbeck's.
He's actually gone quite sketchy in places.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know, Ben Stenbeck is a Kiwi artist.
I really like that little bit of.
He's worked on Hellboy and stuff with Mike Mignola.
I hope to see a bit.
So this is his.
In places.
Whoops, come back here. So this is his own first book, I think. Yeah. So that's what the review.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I didn't know he had a project out, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what this is what we're about. This channel is highlighting all our Kiwi creatives, right? And Oceania and Aussie, right? So it's kind of basically Oceania, even though we call it Kiwis. And so check out Justin Young, and of course he's on Instagram as well. But he's got his own page. Actually, let me bring up while we're talking here, right? And also we've had him on interviews, so you can check out the interviews there as well. And let me find Freak the graphic novel, I think it's called it. So it's a kind of horror where are you? Right, here we go. So
the Stenbeck, going back to Ben Stenbeck, he's worked with Mike Mignola. I think one of his biggest titles was Baltimore. He had a big run on that book, Baltimore, which was fantastic. I mean, he's an incredible artist, and great run on that book. I think he did sort of like 4 or 5 volumes before.
Right.
I don't know. I think it continued on after him. I'm not sure he finished that series, but sort of Monster Hunter, sort of Helsing type story. He's fantastic. Great guy too.
So this is hopefully we'll have him on sometime talking about that project. Like I said, like it's invites are open, to Kiwi creatives, and so and Australasian, right? So basically Oceania creatives. Anytime you guys want to pop over, let me know. So this is Justin Young's Facebook, so check him out there. Young Artist NZ. Now, so getting back to Pandemania, right? So this is the project that came out during COVID, right? And at that time, right? I mean, I realized that I could have put so much other stuff in here, but this was about COVID. So at that time, I was doing a whole bunch of speech bubble things. So it's 2 speech bubbles arguing. So that's my one in there. It's kind of random in the sense like, it's just with no pictures or nothing. It's just speech bubbles. So it's called 2 speech bubbles debating about us, trying to tell a story without. And so it's like describing through voice, like speech bubbles, what the person's age is and all that. I'd like a grandma in there. It's like, it's kind of, it's, if you can do that, because there's if you can tell a story just by speech bubbles with no art, it is tough, but as a writer, I'm always trying to challenge myself. So there is some awesome artwork in this as well. So this is number 33. And we said number 35 is what they've got coming out now. 35.
How often does it come out, Aru?
I think it's kind of almost like a yearly thing.
Does it come out every like, is it biannual? Is it twice a year? I want to say it comes out
I think it's about once a year. It depends like how much work they're getting, right? Because I'm like, a lot of times they'll probably get a whole bunch of works, but they got to pick and choose. And, not always, not all work is going to be in line with what they're trying to do. And that's the thing about having a good editor, right? And and it's got to like try to give, because especially if you're doing an anthology, you want to sort of like focus on different art styles and different stories to actually make that work sellable. It's different to like just doing your one storyline and you're good to go. But it's anthologies have their own little.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it comes out every year. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Now, before we pop on to what I'm doing, I'm going to put up two more things that historically has been great for New Zealand. And this is, of course, why it's in this is because my work's on this, and I've got a whole bunch of signatures on this. All right, so So this has got Greg Rucker. This has got I think it's Michel's on here. Michel's on here, and I think it's got.
Is that Newground? Is that
this one here?
Jeremy's old Dealerman comic. Yeah, so Michel will be in there. I mean,
this is I think it's like somewhere up here, but this one here. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's him there, but there's somebody from there. I think it might actually be the artist who did this cover, but this here is Peter David from Marvel, right? From DC, Peter David. And I think somewhere in here is Greg Rucker. But so this came out about 2009. It's like when I was basically, that's when I like about 2008 is when I started being on having to use a cane to walk around. So this was my this came out, and this was my first comic published thing in here. Like this is this one here, and so it's like I have like 5 pages of it, and like it's what it is, right? So and I'm for to have that in there, I think this is Michael. Is that Michel? I'm going to get it mixed up all the time. I think this might be Michel.
Yeah.
But is it though? Groundsman. Oh no, that's James Davidson. So here's someone else from New Zealand, right? There is manga in here as well.
It's anthologies. There's a bunch of different stuff in there. Yeah, it was. I mean, a lot of New Zealand artists, Auckland artists, particularly, sort of cut their teeth on that Newgrounds sort of anthology. I'm pretty sure it's DMC, Dealerman Comics, right? So it's Jeremy Bishop.
That's right. Yeah.
Sort of putting it out. Yeah.
So yeah, October 2009. This was at what was it? So this was at Armageddon, and the great thing is that, and here's why I love Armageddon of the past. We're here, right? This is our store, like maybe about 3 meters or 4 meters, and right here is Peter David, and here right next to him is Greg Rucker. And if you don't know who Greg Rucker is, where's my Queen and Country? All right. This, Whiteout and this, all right, Greg Rucker. So, this is one of his seminal works, and I think this is supposed to be a series upcoming. And this, so I was like able to buy them like for $20 each or something at the time, and I was like so excited. So I don't know who the artist on this is, but I'll find out in a sec. Featuring artwork from exciting illustrators such as Sean David Alexander, Mike McDonald's Ape Sapien, Carla Speed McNeil, Finder, and Mike Hawthorne, Exterminators. So there's different, varied art styles and everything in here. But these were all done as floppies, and then also now, And so, but that's a joy of stuff like Armageddon, who can afford to, import big name comics people, and I enjoy that. I think we need, we will always need Armageddon, no matter how much people can go, oh, it's our business now. But as long as Armageddon supports, the fans in the sense of bringing over and not just go all Hollywood. We've got to get back to getting comics, because that's the only way we get to meet people from like that. We get to talk to Peter David, ask Greg Rucker questions about comics and movies. There's a precious things. I got to do a 40-minute interview with a Marvel artist, and sadly the friggin' there was too much background noise, and it just ruined the interview. And you could hear all this background noise because I just had a phone on me. It wasn't even it was an impromptu thing. I wish I'd actually, because I hadn't planned it, because I was doing radio at the time. I didn't plan it, but it would have had an amazing thing about his. His thing was I only got hired to do this job because I used to do my work on time. That was it. Whenever somebody checked something, I did my work on time. And next thing I know, I got a job in this. Now I'm doing animation. Now I'm working with Warner Animation or whatever, and all that only because I got my work on in time. Whenever somebody had something to do, they'd go, "Oh, they're behind. Can you fix this?" Yeah, okay, sort of thing. And conversations like that, you can get these little gems from these conversations with people, that are famous or whatever, top of their game. Rex, have you heard of the comics that Armageddon itself produces, right? William.
No. I think it was I think that was a little sort of before. What was it? Warden? Yeah, no, that was just a little before my time.
So these kind of came out as floppies and then graphic novels. So
no, I remember Warden being sort of hey, that's pretty cool, but I didn't know it was New Zealand produced or the guy that Armageddon was making it. I just sort of took it as, it was some overseas sort of indie project. So I kind of missed the boat just on Warden. I certainly would have been into it if I knew about it. Yeah.
But the other thing is that at Armageddon you get a space New Zealand Comics is there and stuff like that. Adrian's there with his Earths and all that stuff there. So if you always there is that other thing where it's New Zealand, so it's not that good. Look, I've just showed you what's good in New Zealand, right? What all these people that are doing amazing works out here that's actually out there just as good as anybody in the world. And I'm in the same vein. I'm trying to get my work to be just as good as anybody in the world, because if you're going to compete for that same dollar, your work's got to be good. But the other side,
Armageddon is sort of what you make it. I've found. I used to go every year religiously in Auckland at the race course there, the race grounds there. And you're right. It's sort of. I think for a couple of years there, I was sort of going, well, it is just turned into sort of a shopping mall, really. It is, but then you actually look at kind of the itinerary, and there's so much going on, and if you're there to sort of meet people and take advantage of the events and that sort of thing, you can make a real day of it. Or 3 days out of it, so it's really what you make of it. If you're there just to sort of run the route and pick up some foam swords or something, that's what you're going to do. But if you take part in the panels and what have you, you've talked to the guests and what have you, it takes on a completely different experience. You, like I said, you've got to make the best of sort of the what's on offer, in order for you to sort of get the whole kind of Armageddon experience, I guess. So So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did like a 2.5 hour interview with Bill, right, William Gerritz, who's the owner of Armageddon, Expo, and we had a good discussion about like the whole process, the 25 years of them doing it, how they got from town hall to like all the huge over Aussie as well with Supernova and stuff like that, and what it took. And this was just during like I think it was 22, and that's on another channel. So I'm looking at like bringing those videos across to this channel so that this has becomes the home of pop culture, and because it's kind of at the time I was doing my own thing and I was doing it under my own auspices, kind of my own channel. This is kind of more like about everybody else as well. It's like as I'm doing it, but it's more about like the community, the New Zealand comics and stuff. But I need to bring those over because they're very good interviews. Like there's interviews with Ross, and I was looking in my I was looking at Plunge Cast's list, and I was like, "Where's Ross's interview I did with him? I'm like, where is it?" And then I went over and it's over that freaking channel, on YouTube. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring it over, because it deserves to be here, where it's more eyes are on it. Talking about which, please like, subscribe, and hit that notify button on the upcoming shows. So talking about Armageddon, right? So this is a photo I paid $40 for, right? The only photo I ever paid $40 for because I like her as an actress. She's amazing. This was when like Century. I always forget her name because it's just one of those freaking names I always forget, and then I go, "Oh, that's the name it was."
I want to help you out, but I don't know who that is. Sorry, she is a. Let me just bring it up here so you guys can see who it is. And this was taken at Armageddon, and it's Amanda Tapping. And she's been on many, 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 shows. So I got to. Of course. Okay. I didn't recognize her with brown hair. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I used to watch this G1. Okay.
Yeah. All that, right? Atlantis and all that. So I got to, have photo taken with her, and here's the thing, right? I don't care. I had to pay $40. I got to meet Amanda Tapping. Right, and then when you really think about it, do you know it probably cost $40,000 to have her over here with all the things? And a lot of time people go, "Oh, why does it cost so much?" Dude, hotels, food, travel, air tickets, management fees, celebrity fees, all that. But you get to, I got to have like a 2-minute. I was all smiles because I was like. All I thought was going to get a photo taken with her. And so it's like, "Hello." I'm like, "How's it going?" I'm like, I'm just
right.
Yeah, because I'm stunned mullet because I didn't, and because I'm okay with comic people, but it was like at that point I was like, what is it called? Like foot and mouth, just I couldn't talk and something. But she was great. She's actually tall, dude. She's tall, right? She's freaking tall, and I'm like kind of like. I'm like, I think she actually bent down a bit over here so that we were eye level. But the other cool thing is Doctor Who, right? I mean, one from Doctor Who, right? And so when I got to see him, and I also got him to sign one for my dad, right? Because my dad's English, so I got him to sign like Brigadier. That's his name. It was actor who played as Brigadier.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, I mean, that's why I like, I'll never, put down Armageddon because I've had so much amazing times there and, interactions.
Well, I'll say this about Armageddon, because I think you're right. It is such a net positive that, any critique you could sort of levy at Armageddon is sort of, it doesn't matter. It's a massive event for New Zealand. It's huge. So I certainly don't want to seem like I'm poo-pooing Armageddon. But at the end of the day, it did sort of go from like a sort of a cheap, you could a cheap time with the boys, or when you're 13, 14 to sort of, those sort of people got kind of almost priced out of the market. Something you had to save up for. You know what I mean? It really became an event and had a lot of polish, a lot of production. So I could understand, people sort of having a gripe about kind of it becoming a little bit more pricey. Particularly if you're not seeing guests and what have you, and you're just playing video games and what have you. But yeah, the heights that it has reached, is nothing to scoff at. It really is sort of a great event, and they do get some really good. They do get some really good guests, and so if they're that way inclined, it's an absolute must. But
But here's the thing, right? Armageddon's Armageddon at the top of the game because we built it that way. We supported it over the years. If none of us were out here supporting, buying tickets, taking out friends, moving, doing overnight stays or traveling to these events, it wouldn't be where it is. But here's the thing. On the other side of that, if you're moaning and bitching about it, go and create one yourself. Get your mates together, go and do a little, local convention in your area. Go do a little town hall event. Go do a scouts hall event. Go do a little, go hire at a local, school hall, or even a room. Hell, hire a room for a day and go, can we have it in here? Go hire a freaking restaurant. Can we just go at the back of the room and show off our work here? Which, right? And I'll bring it up here. Which,
I think that's why Overload is so good, because the Artist Alley at Armageddon is good, but this Overload is just the Artist Alley at Armageddon on steroids with a sort of a manga bend, So it's just come full circle now. Overload. If that's something more, it's funny. I remember watching a news clip about Armageddon when it first started, its origins, and it really was a comic convention. People trading comics, collecting comics, comic guests and what have you, trading cards, that sort of thing. So it's sort of outgrown that. Armageddon sort of outgrown that to some degree. Certain criticisms have been levied at Comic-Con as well. It's no longer a comic convention. It's movies, games. It's sort of a whole pop culture. Not even just pop culture, sort of mainstream culture kind of thing. So if you are more interested in that. That sort of scene, trading comics and reading comics and finding artwork and what have you. Overload is sort of a pretty good kind of space to have,
you're right. If you're really into the comic thing, then do that. But look, there are a lot of smaller events where you can take part in and support each other, and if that's what you want. But this is something to experience that we never get to experience. And so they've been able to grow to this extent. Remember, it's called Armageddon. It isn't called Comic-Con. Right,
sure.
And I like to forget, it's Armageddon because they were smart enough to say it's not Comic-Con, right? It's I've done that myself, right? When we started doing a Plunge, it was like Plunge Indie Comic Convention. Then a year later, I found when I was done it, I was like, wait, there's people coming up as cosplay. There are people coming up as with manga, animation, and the next year I went pop culture convention. Just changed it. And that was
just going to turn the light on, so I'm not blowing.
Yeah, so they kind of widened the whole spectrum of what we were doing out here, and allowed more people to engage in it. But do your community projects, man. Get out there in your community. Like I mentioned, last year, that there was funds for the community. To get grants to do stuff like this in your community. Learn, if you don't know how to do it, get advice from, for your local government body in the arts that are there, that's already there. Hey, we want to put on a convention, let's do that, and I don't mean let's put on 40,000 thing, because that's just crazy. Start small, right? Because that's why Armageddon so good? Because they learned through each year expanding what works. They brought in more people, you know, and stuff like that. And same thing, like when we talk about going back to ChromaCon, I actually said, you know, we after the local event that was here, one of the chief sponsors of that basically took us out to dinner, like all our speakers and stuff, because they had a speaking thing, and I was a guest speaker kind of thing because talking about comics and stuff, right? And I was lucky to be asked to do that, you know. And then afterwards, Henry just said, who was the art, you know, local arts creative Northern manager at that time, general manager, and she said, "Hey, all right, Aru, come join us. We're gonna go for dinner in my shout." I said, "Okay, cool," you know. So a bunch of us got to go out there and have dinner with her. And then next to me was Alan Zia, and Alan Zia basically taught me, when you're putting on an event, you got to count the toilet paper and how much you're going to spend on that toilet paper. So you know how much money you're going to be spending, and you got to weigh up everything and budget and how it's going to work, because it's never, you know, everything, if you don't count for it, it's going to expand, you know. And so, you know, it was good to have someone right there sitting who had done ChromaCon for a few years at that point, you know, and running a huge event like that. And here's me just going, oh, next year I'm looking at doing a little event, you know, because in a town hall, you know, and what do I need to do, man? Tell me. And he goes, boom, boom, boom. And I was able to take that on board. And look, you know, there are costs involved in running these events, but if you find people with good knowledge out here in your community, right, in your own community, you'll be able to get advice if you're open to it and learn from them on how to put on your own community events. You know, the best thing for us going in 2024 is every little township having their own little event. You know, it doesn't even, you know, can be just in a freaking shop, a small, you know, small area, and like they used to do with the Zine Fest, I think it was, or Draw Fest, right? They'll just go in the middle of a mall, put up a couple of tables, and they'll start drawing, right? And this one here, I'm putting up at Funtime Comics, their comics community, right? So, do you know much about this? Did you have a look at this?
I haven't seen this post specifically. No.
So this was posted 4 days ago, and this is about like their little, you know, this is in Christchurch. Are they in Christchurch? I kind of forget if they were in like Christchurch.
Fun times down south. Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's based out of.
Oh yeah, there you go, Christchurch, right?
There you go.
Should look at the site. So here's an event that's on tomorrow at 1 o'clock in Christchurch, right? So they're meeting at the New Brighton Gallery, right? So there's the art gallery. They're meeting there, and they're going to, you know, what is the aim? So we're meeting at New Brighton Art Gallery for our January workshop, monthly comic gathering where we draw comics, chit chat about comics, and all sorts of stuff. If creative, it's social, it's creative. I think it's supposed to be, it's creative. Oh, it's if creative, it's social. It's a fun time, right? So that's who's, you know, they've got that happening tomorrow. So they've had past 11 events, it says here, right? And so on. And so this is where,
if you go to one of the pages that you mentioned before, like New Zealand, you know, New Zealand comic creators and New Zealand comics and things like that, and just say, hey, are there any meetups in my area? And you're in sort of a, you know, I mean, you might have a bit of trouble if you're out in the WAPs, but you know, if you're in Wellington, Auckland, Christchurch, you know, Whangarei, like Aru is, you know, there's gonna be something there, Zine Fest or little meetups like like Aru showing there. So ask and you shall receive. You know, so there's a lot sort of happening out there. You just have to look.
So you've got this Drawfest Auckland. A friend of mine runs it, Susan Rugg, and many others, right? So this is in Auckland. So, you know, if you join this group and other groups, like there's Drawfest Wellington, right? And this was posted a while ago, but, you know, so you got Wellington and stuff like this, live drawing, all this stuff is out here, you know, people sharing skills, you know, Caden Squid, shout out to Brightly Colored Animal Overseas, right? Who made your 10 years, you know, and then you've got coloring stuff, you know, somebody doing some wrestlers. Now, that's Drawfest Auckland. So like we're back to Wellington. So this is Drawfest Auckland. Pavilion. When you had Pavilion, that was last year December. People doing stuff. This is Rocket Art Battle Auckland. Stuff like that. So join these groups, like you were saying, join these groups, because how else are you going to know what's going on in your area? So you've got a painting thing going on with Rocket Art, Studios Waiteko 2023.
If comics is something that you're wanting to get into, I've found that actually talking to people, obviously you have YouTube and the internet, there are resources online, but you're always going to have challenges and gaps in your knowledge that are very specific, or particular sort of anxieties or thoughts. When I was in Auckland, I found lots of people were very who are big in the industry, were very sort of giving with their time. Michael was one of them. Ant Sang, another one too. If I had a question about sort of making comics or drawing comics, you ask them a question. I don't think there was a question I didn't have that they were more than happy to answer. So, at least having sort of a link to, figures who in your community who have sort of been there, done that, I think is absolutely key. Is just a wealth of sort of knowledge there. And even, at the end of the day, even if you don't find sort of a mentor figure, having someone who is sort of like-minded, who has sort of similar interests in you to bounce ideas off, is incredibly important. I think as creatives, we get sort of stuck in our heads quite a bit. And having someone sort of go, hey, what do you think of this idea? And they can go, oh yeah, that's great. Or hey, maybe try this or work on this. I think that's invaluable. So like you said, all you have to do is just sort of get out there and have a look, and these groups do exist. You kind of have to meet them halfway all of the time, I think.
So talking about that, so this is New Zealand comics. So this page is where people talk about our creatives from the past, yesteryear or current, decade, whatever, work that our creatives, comic book creatives, have done in New Zealand, either professionals or not so well known, right? So here's something that's really interesting. You've got here the front cover of Whitcomb. This is by Cornelius Stone. Whitcomb and Tombs catalogue of goods from the year 1884. Lithograph printing on brown and cream on white paper, right? So it's 27 centimeters by 22 centimeters. The names Whitcomb and Tombs combined to form Whitcombs, right? So look at the artwork here. Casual Street, stuff like this. This is illustration. So you go, oh, it's advertising. No, it's illustration. It's, an artist did this in 1884 for, Whitcombs, right? Our New Zealand bookshop. So, and they share historic stuff like this. So, and also up-to-date current stuff, right? So, join, there's about 1.2 K members here. Most of the people that, in the comic scene and historians are here. Now, I've actually posted something here today, I think it was, or was it over the comic community, asking about a question that someone sent me via our, let me pop this up so I can, hopefully it's this one, where I was asked by, so here, right? So this is, I posted this today. I got an email, and this is the weird thing, right? So we go, what's the point of doing Plunge, podcast or something? I got an email because someone saw this interview, direct, because I have an interview, email set up for interview so people can interview or which is sm.plungestudiosnz@gmail, right? So someone from Ireland saw this video. It randomly came up saying 90 Days Kiwi Kids and Comics that we did the other week, last Friday. So I got this sent to me by email and I had no clue about it. So I asked the community. I said, hey, hopefully somebody will answer it. And, she's going, Kia ora from halfway around the world, Bonnie Little, Northern Ireland. Just stumbled across your channel today and really enjoyed seeing you discuss so much great stuff. Your video, 1980s Kiwi Kids and Comics, ended up under my nose due to a bit of an internet search rabbit hole. I was amusing myself by trying to find a comic annual style book that a friend mentioned. He's a Kiwi, but has been here for a brave wee while. And the comic annual is something that would have been for kids in New Zealand in the 80s. It contains stories and comics. The only story headlines I have to go by are one was a plane crash in Lake Hudson. One was being attacked by a Jewish grouper. Is that a groper?
A Jewfish?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal was. Because one was a scout trip. Yeah, I saw that. I was confused. One was a scout trip and some haunted woods. I appreciate that. That is upset. I appreciate that. It's absolutely nothing to go on, but I just wondered, given you guys seem to be of that right era and definitely of the right line of interest, can you think of any annuals or comics, right? So if you're watching, if you're not from New Zealand, someone who's asking for help about this, I would love for you to, answer it. Go jump on NZ Comics and Communities if you know, because like I said, I was a young buck in that time. So, if we look about 80s, I'm like about 11 or 12 or something, 15. I'm not really in the New Zealand comic scene. I'm not reading that. I'm reading like freaking Tintin, Asterix, and of course Judge Dredd, right? So if you can help, please help. And I can answer Laura back. And I said to her, I told her that I'll put it out here so people can answer that, hopefully reply with the answer for that. But
Interesting.
Yeah, if anybody knows, please help. Now you were going to ask about myself, right? So do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, well, you're part of the New Zealand scene, and like I said, I'm sort of I'm orbiting I was orbiting Plungecast, and then I was sort of drawn in very suddenly to sort of and here I am in the main nerve, so I'm still although I'm doing a podcast with you, I'm still sort of learning about Plunge and your work. I'm
Right.
It's sort of I'm kind of doing things backwards. So I thought and the reason I wanted to ask was, it seems like every podcast I watch is that it seems like you've got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. Is what I'm
Right.
trying to. A lot of projects that you're writing, working on, have sort of at varying degrees of pipeline. I know you've talked at length about Robot Nation.
Yeah.
But then you were talking about that sort of Zealandia thing as well, that you're working with a European artist on. So I thought, look, this is sort of episode 1, season 2. Might as well sort of start with part of the episode anyway with some of your own stuff, and we can kind of talk about it. And yeah.
All right. Okay. So when I first I come from a background in stage, right? So for 6 years I was doing like in church, Christian church, and I was asked if I could run a drama group. So we built it up from like about 3 people to something like about 25 over a 6-year period, and doing all that stuff. So at the end of that, I worked at the Sally's as a paid youth worker for a year. Then I decided to go filmmaking. So when I went to filmmaking, I'd already knew how to write scripts. I knew how to write, tell stories and perform them. And so I did 3 years of filmmaking, and I came back. And then I got shift work, right? So with shift work, it meant that like I was working Tuesday to Saturday, so I had Sunday, Monday off, which meant that like I could no longer like do filmmaking. And then after that, like within about 6 months of that, and I was doing filmmaking, short films, working on other people's projects. And then because I got software, I couldn't do that anymore. But also I had a car accident in July or June of that year, and 2007. And so that meant that like now I found it really hard to do stuff. And so I turned to comic books. So I started creating comic books. Forward to about 2010, by the time I'd become separated and divorced because of the injuries were messing and the chemicals were messing with my brain. So I went and finished off my film degree. Did an extra couple pages, extra credits, about 60 or 30, and it was a what was it? It was like a graphic novel, right? So volume 1 of a 3-page graphic novel, full color, right? All digital and stuff, and which I'd had been doing since about 2008 or something like that, or 9. And then I finished that. I think I should release that soon sometime. But then, so then I moved to Whangarei in 2011. And then around about that point, I had, about 2013, because I've had so many head injuries, I mentioned it often because I forget dates and times and stuff because of those head injuries. So I ended up, settling in Whangarei because my sister's here. My mom's like about an hour's drive away. So I was like, came back here to Whangarei and been here for the last 10 odd years, probably going to about 14 years now. But I used to live here for 10 years in the 90s and 2000s as well. So so with that, I met people from Rising Sun Comics because my first name means Rising Sun, or Initial, right? So Rising Sun Comics New Zealand was the imprint, which has that little, if you can see there, that's got that double F logo. That came from my clothing design. I actually have some couple t-shirts and pants. Actually, I actually am wearing one of my shorts. So let me just pop that out so you can actually see what I mean. So you actually realize that I actually did design, a clothing brand, right? So there's your logo there. It was called Forgiven, streetwear. And so that, I kind of sold that off and then went to film school. So when I came back, I started doing comics. And then in 2014, I decided that I had all this knowledge from and my passion for comics, but I also had done business, courses over that time. And even at film school, you're taught how to do learn business and legal stuff and all that. And so I set up a comic store, and then sort of because we had 6 months, the first 6 months were amazing. We're doing really well, with that, when you look at that, what came out of that, the store came out of that, and not because of my own thing, but so we had Comic Trade was the store. Out of that came out this amazing I would say card fight. I don't know why I always say card fight, but because it's just a game that we do have it there. But so this is what came out of that, and for our local community, because I knew nothing about card games, absolutely nothing. But my friends who came in there and basically, now they're close friends, came in and said, "Hey, can we use your cubbyhole room there to?" Because I had posters and stuff there, but I put in tables for people to hang out and read comics or whatever. And can we play card games? And so out of that, the group grew from 1 or 2 people to about 60 over that period. And they built, now they're actually last year, October, I think it was, opened up a store, with cards. These very people who in that store. Out of that, the community grew. And so in about 2015, I basically had to do the 2 other stores sort of opening up. They're kind of a similar pop culture vein. They hadn't done their research, and as soon as I closed, they ended up closing within 6 months because they didn't know what, when you're creating something like that, it's a community. It's because friends are meeting, they're becoming friends, and they're mentoring each other. They're learning stuff and all that. But anyway, so that happened. We closed it down, and then I just sort of shut down because I went, shit. everything I put my effort into, all my money and all that's just gone. So I shut it down and just went to my little dark hole. Then after like about 2018, because I'd been on terrible meds, right? Really terrible meds. Like I was depressed, and so I didn't feel, creative. All my, creativity was gone. And this is a guy who's a workaholic, right? Creative wise, right? And so then I came back and I realized that comic trade. I posted on that, hey, I'm gonna, coming back out of my hole. And then I had all these comments come up and people were saying, where have you been? And I had teary eyes because I was reading these comments and I was like, shit. I closed myself off to everybody for about 2 years. And so, yeah, it was really hard. And then I said, okay. And then so I got involved in the community straight away. Like, actually, to be honest, I decided to go and, not that I'm not being honest, I met Michael Batur, right? I met Michael Batur at a poetry night in town. Like, because this is like April. This is when I'm just saying, you know what? I need to get out of here because like I've been closing myself off in my room. I just go get my meds, weekly. I go get my groceries and I close myself in the room. Once a month, I go to have dinner with my sister and a family. That's all I do, right? For 2 years. And it was a horrible way to be. And so I'm always saying like, that's not a way to do things. And then so when I did that, then I got invited to other things. I got invited to radio. I got, and to interview and stuff. And then I got invited to that, talking about how I met Alan Zira and Henry and all that in 2018. So I did 6 months of like radio because I have a background in radio as well. And so as a DJ. And so I did interviews with creatives. I was like, this is what I freaking know, right? Music and comic books and art. So I grabbed, whenever I went to like a gallery opening or exhibition or met someone, go, hey, come on a radio show and do a half an hour interview, right? Promote what you're doing and tell me about what you're doing, let people know. So we did that for about 2 years. Then also ran a Headbangers Ball. However, in that time in 2018, because I'd forgotten about my relationship with, Rising Sun Comics, right? Publishing group. Because of the head injuries, the CEO there, Hawk, goes, hey, where you been? Where you been these last 10 years?
So you're saying that you were part of this group, you basically had like a head injury and you forgot sort of your relationship with Rising Sun Publishing.
Yep, that's how bad the injury was. And also like the chemical overdose, right? 2 of them. And so within like months of each other. So I just forgot they existed. And so when I got an email from a lady saying, hey, I saw your work on DeviantArt and, I work for this company. I'm like, oh, what? Like, what do you mean? And then my memory came back. I said, oh, who are these people with my work on the thing? I was like, and then suddenly I got the email back and we started going, oh, do you want to take part in this? Do you want to be part of the, come back and take a position as a director and so on? Or do you want to just take a payout? And I said, this is what I've always wanted to do. And of course, I'd forgotten I'd done it, where I could create comics, but I could also open doorways for other Kiwis, right, to come into. And that's always been my thing. Like, okay, if I get opportunity, then I'm going to open opportunities for others. Like we do here, right? Like I go out and do, do a podcast and invite other people to come and promote themselves. So it's not just about me because who wants, have me talking all day. And so that sort of, then coming back to Rising Sun allowed me to, to get opportunities to publish my comics, to work with other creatives. So whenever the thing about this is that being an independent company, and they've been around for 25 years, right? And I've only been back for about 5 years with them, is that they have access to about 100 artists, right? All over the world who are looking to break out, who are looking to do little projects that they can learn how to do stuff, or people who just want to like do a little side project, or people who like are working full time for themselves and their families, but are doing this as a hobby or doing this because they've got the skill, and maybe hopeful that someday this could be a professional thing for them that they could earn. And so when, we're talking about earlier about Zoolandia, which is the most, the most recent project, like within weeks, right? That we're working on. And I even had a letter, I had a letter back about this. Let me just bring this up so you guys can see where we are.
So just while you're looking that up, how many titles do you have sort of ongoing that you're working on at the moment that are sort of approaching, being in the market? Take me sort of through those.
Sure. So the next one to hit the market is this, right? It's completed, right? You can just buy for $2.99. It's full completed. Everything's there. All the work is there. It's not like because it's a preview, so-called preview, this page is missing. No, it's complete. This is exactly what we're going to put out for Kickstarter this month or next month. I just got to figure out. It's going to take me a whole week to set it up. So that's one. And then you got Incredigle, which came out last year, which is we did it through Kickstarter, which is this one here.
Sorry to interject. That's interesting that you say that about the Robot Nation being a preview, because I've had a look at that page, that Rising Sun Publishing page, and I saw that preview and I went, oh, okay, well, this is 3 pages of the 36 page first issue, the action-packed first issue, or something like that. So
I think
I mean, 36 pages isn't it? Yeah, 36 pages isn't a preview. I mean, that's an issue. That's an action-packed first issue.
Yeah, 36 pages and 28 pages of art. Like normally it's 22 pages of and you still pay $2.99, right? For like for a 22-page work, but this is like a complete 28 pages. Is that right? I think it's 28 pages all up.
That's first issue, man. Or I remember back in the day when I was collecting floppies, you'd get like a 0 issue, which is sort of like, it's a comic book, but it's sort of the setting the scene or a little bit of world building and what have you. So
I've got 0 copy, issue zeros and stuff like that. But I mean, there's so many projects because, like I said, I mean, apart from those 2 years, I think even in those 2 years, I was doing some little notations and script, but like because I'm just like a freaking prolific writer, and I don't boast about that just for the sake of it, but I am. I'm writing all the freaking time, right? In the middle of the night, I'll wake up and here's a couple paragraphs and go back to sleep. But the thing is that for me, that's my escape, right? It's like it helps me to continue being creative, and I think, and you're talking about like what we've been putting out. So this is
about to put out, or
this is out. This is going to be in stores soon. Incredigle. We did a Kickstarter for it last year. We raised about $1,200 US, which kind of like basically just paid for it to be published, right? Didn't make us any money, but it's our first book, and our team's basically like, we're going to do the next lot and the next lot, because there's I think it's a 4 or 6 issue series, right? So the artist
give us the elevator pitch on Incredigle. I mean, I've sort of flick through some of the pages here and there, sort of during podcasts and what have you. But give us sort of the introduce us into the world of Incredigle, what it's all about. You mentioned that it was sort of created in part because of your niece or something like that. So that I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, give us the lowdown on Incredigle. Give us the elevator pitch.
So, like in 2007, right, when I had my injury and stuff, and I was stuck at home, and I was like, in Christmas 2007, I just like thought, like, if I'd like to do a superhero, and like maybe I'd like to be a female. And so I just went to my niece. I said, hey, what do you reckon? Or what would you call it? If you had a superhero, what do you call it? She goes, Incredible Girl, and my,
okay.
And so my brother-in-law goes, hey, Les, her dad goes, hey, there's already something out there like the Incredibles, right? So how about go Incredible? Okay,
True.
Okay, so that's how the name came about. But this is written to give a hero to her, and so over time her costume changed, her but one thing didn't change about her was who she was, her origin. She's an orphan Romanian adopted by Kiwis. It comes out of the Ceausescu era where her parents have been like locked up or disappeared during that communist era in Romania, where lots of like dissidents, artists, writers, politicians, journalists were like just disappeared. It was a horrendous time. And so they basically, come out and adopt this child. But there's a lot more to it. We don't know, how does she have these powers and stuff. And so it's like our own, my whole idea was to give my niece a superhero, but also make it a New Zealand superhero. And so it's everything about her is New Zealand, and she's someone who's grown up and kind of like me, right? You got planted from like another country into here, and now she's here. And so there's this thing that with these folk, like these people, like they're called what are they called? Gosh, I can't remember what we call them. All right. Superman. It's a Romanian name, right? So sorry, I've been working on some other projects, so I tend to forget because of memory hole. But so this book, you've got art from cover art from Shane Evans, right? You've got the B cover.
I was going to say it does look familiar. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And so you see this one. This was from like 2019. He did the art from, or 2020, and now we've got a new costume, right? So you got his costume. Like I said, we've changed it. In 2022, we changed our comic. So there's this one here. This is here. You got we blacked this out because we didn't want to spoil it for issue 2. So,
Okay.
but we did this. That if you got this, that's the first appearance of the character, right? And so you get to, and there's I don't know how many people backed that, but then this is one we did. This is James Hill's. This is a new costume, right? And I did this we designed this with my fellow, friend of ours who's worked with us as a Fabled Hero. So she's got a YouTube channel as well. So I'll bring that up. It's Fabled Hero NZ, so you guys can check her YouTube out. Also because she's a cosplayer. Oops, apologies there. And so I think she needs to get rid of the numbers at the back of the thing. That's what I was talking about, like how promotion was. So she's got numbers, but look at Fabled Hero and you find it. But I'll put up this. So I actually sat down with my friend Lynette, and we designed this over a bunch of coffee, right? This character over coffee, in town. And I just said, look, and that's her channel there. And I said to her, I've been thinking about changing this costume to make it workable, and how to, because I want people to cosplay my character. And so she's been cosplaying this character for a couple of years now, and so I wanted her hand in how we design it, what works, what doesn't, and so we went out and do that. And so one thing I want to show you just while we're here about the actual. I think she's actually cosplaying her. Yeah, here we go. So, she's done a different mask to this now, but this is the website for us for the Plunge convention and some of our comic books and stuff. So you can see her here, right? And you can see Shane there. You can see Mark Kelly, and this is Ethan who runs that store that we talked about earlier. This is Mark Kelly who runs Northland's Northland Artists Conversations, right? You got Shane, with his comic book, and then you've got Lynette with her cosplay. She also runs a group, right, called Northland, Cosplay Northland, and also that channel that she's done now. So, I was able to be surrounded by very creative people, and so this is some of the events we did as part of that, just sort of like a bit, what, tells you what we've done and stuff over the past couple of years, and how you can support us, right? If you want to donate to us. And let me see, the publicity media and stuff. So, some of the work we've done, and this is Shane's, creation here, and Red Dot, we're going to look at putting, Red Dot out. I've actually written about a whole entire graphic novel about him, so these are past, promotions that we've used. So this is 2021, that cover, right, that we just showed before. So now we've used his cover, that art for the convention to do the, to chuck it on the thing.
Nice.
So
Yeah, it's a great piece of artwork. So that's that's an incredible girl, and you've sort of it's great to see the sort of attention around it. Great to see. I mean, that must be some mark of success. You've got someone sort of cosplaying your OC. So that's Incredible Girl. You got Robot Nation there.
We help like with the convention. Like I actually paid for some of that stuff because look, it costs money, right? The boots and stuff, and the pants and stuff. Those are actually things that you had to buy. So $70 for a pair of boots, or $40 for a pair of jeans and stuff like that. I don't know. I'd say that here's some money for the boots, because like you're cosplaying a character, and because cosplay can be very expensive. I know because I've created my own cosplay. It cost me $350 to do my own manji, cosplay, and so samurai, and so and that's not just from saying that how much I spent, but because learning from people like Lynette, right, being open to learn from my from people in my community. And I think that's the most important thing here, is if you want to branch out into something, and we've done the convention for 5 years, right? But I've had to surround myself with people who are more knowledgeable than me. Like with, we did the, when we talked about how we had Ethan, we just showed you Ethan, right? And how his whole, where do we go? Do we pop back out of there? Let me, with a card merchant, right? With, now they have their own store. But I don't know nothing about, trading card games. Yet, over that time, they've been doing it, and now they've got their own store. So if and plus the other thing I should mention, that while we're doing our convention, I gave space in the middle of the convention and tables and chairs to Ethan and his, his group, which is called Shadow Realm New Zealand, right? That's their gaming group, trading card gaming group. So there were people there playing, right, while the stalls were outside and artists were at their stalls and selling, merchants and stuff. And the kids were in the other area coloring and doing stuff. So it became a more family oriented, So not only did you have kids coloring stuff, then kids could go and see artists coloring stuff, or or drawing, and then you could see people dressed up in those characters, right? And then so it's like a circle, and that's why I encourage smaller communities to do that. Like, you can bitch and moan about freaking Armageddon becoming all business, or being all that, but why aren't you doing your own community? Why aren't you promoting shit in your own community? Why aren't you getting together with your artists and going, hey, how about we just step back from, ego tripping or whatever, and doing your own thing? And I don't mean that in a rude way, because I'm ego tripping as well. So I mean, like, rather than just, me doing my thing, how about we get together 4 or 5 people and sit down, talk about doing something. And as I showed you, right, I couldn't do anything like this without my team, without people, working with my friends and saying, hey, I don't know much about what we're doing, but I have an idea, can you, can you impart some knowledge here? Like I mentioned previously, right? This, let me actually bring up the one that's already drawn and everything. I mean, colored. This character, right, came about. I mean, this art, like this actual 3D character, right, of Character Girl came out because someone who's, who works with kids, got a degree in kids, I put in, because of that knowledge, I put in, and because here's the thing. I'm also protective of children at our events. right? So my deal was that I'm going to have the library who've got ticks, right? If you're a librarian, you have done police, what's that called? The background, all that stuff. So I work with the library to look after our kids and coloring, young kids and all that. And also, I have some knowledgeable people. Gosh, I can't remember her name now. I'm going to be in trouble. And she was looking after kids in 2019, and she said, "Hey, that artwork you put out there, it's too tough for the kids to color in because it was actually a really good comic page art, poster page, but for kids, coloring wasn't good. I mean, not easy, and they found it hard. So she said, "Hey, Aru, next time can you do something easier?" So I thought, oh, you know what? I like Kiwis, I like Funko Pop. So I ended up, designing this, and then the kids liked it. They found it easy to do, and then just pencil, ink outlines and stuff. And so I went and paid. Because I thought, we'll do a 3D image of that. So I went and I kind of chopped together bits and pieces, and I a Funko and Chibis, and drew my own thing, and sent it over to another friend that I knew, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking at doing this. Do you know anyone who, can you do this?" She goes, "Oh, I can't, but I've got a friend who I went to school with. He can do it." And so I paid someone $150 to design a 3D model of this. And so now I actually have a figure of something that was started by someone who went and looked after our little kids, our young ones over at Plunge Convention, and did that, and I think just that's why I say, surround yourself with knowledgeable people, because you don't know what they can, what little thing will stick with you and where it could go. And otherwise I would never have this. Right, I would never have this. And the other thing about this is that I should promote them as well, her as well. So, gosh, Northland, because they deserve Northland Arts. Here we go, Northland Art Center. Right. So this is the artist here. I hope I'm for the right page. Please be the right page. Here is Julia. This is a school, right? A charitable trust school. And Julia is the one who is an airbrush artist, right? And so she's the one who actually airbrushed this. So where is she in here? Right. So they run a school to teach kids how to do airbrush, how to do art. And I think it's government funded, so you could go through MSD, learn how to do stuff, and and it's on Port Road here in Whangarei, so you get to learn, all ages. You're gonna be, you can special needs, right? Elderly or young school leaver or stuff like that, right? You can go get some, you can go check them out. And the other thing is, look at some of her artwork. She's world class, by the way. I should say she's won awards and stuff. She was featured in American Airbrush Artists. Let me see if there's any other stuff here. That's one of the artists there. Here you go, people. Painting and drawing. That's Zeke there. That's her daughter there. She's one of the. What else is there? Some place here. Yeah, so that's she's also an artist, qualified. So do check these out. So this is the link there, but this is because here's the thing: you need to build. If you're out here on your own, it's hard, right? It's really hard. And you mentioned that, Rex, about being reaching out to communities, learning from them. What was it like for you this week, right? I mean, because you just started this week to pop out and start talking to people. What was that like, man? I mean,
it was a pretty low effort, low energy, call out. I mean, like I was saying to Shane, in the previous podcast that you guys did, I've sort of been orbiting the New Zealand comic book community for a long time. So I'm not like I'm drinking buddies with them, but I met these people and they all recognize my face. And so, all I did was just go, hey, what are you guys working on? And, a bunch of familiar faces sort of said, hey, I'm working on this. And then some newer artists sort of kind of, said, hey, I'm working on that. So like I said, it's really just sometimes about taking the first step and sort of reaching out and sort of saying, hey, is there anyone else out here who is interested in X, Y, and Z? And quite often you'll get someone else that goes, yes, I am also interested in X, Y, and Z. Let's link up. Or they're I mean, like I said, I've talked to. I found that the people in the New Zealand comic books community, people that are big time, big names, have got big projects out, worked overseas, are more than happy to give them your time as long as you're polite and respectful, and so like I said, it's just a case of sometimes it's just a case of sort of reaching out. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a pretty low energy kind of effort. It wasn't like I was, ringing people up and like, calling people going, hey, what are you working on? But, yeah, it was a good response. A lot of people sort of said, hey, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't know what you envisioned for this podcast. We didn't put a lot of we didn't put a lot of prep in it, which is not a problem. What did you sort of envision this sort of Friday night to be with Kiwis and comics? What can we expect to see moving forward? What discussion wise, what have you?
Sure. Basically, I mean, like I wanted to bring people together, right? From like in this side of the world, right? Especially comics, like, because I think a lot of people over there, right, and the rest of the world don't know how much creative people are here on this side, unless you you have like a big, and I don't mean in a rude way, big deal like Van Stenbeck, right? Got a comic out through Image or whatever. Is it by Image, that book he's got out, Old Dust, whatever?
I think it's. I don't know about that one. I think Baltimore is Dark Horse. I think I could be wrong.
Yeah, and working on Hellboy, right, with Dark Horse and stuff. So
he's done a bunch of titles in Mike Mignola's sort of line. I think he did a Frankenstein book too. I think that's what it's not like he sort of got off Baltimore and then was sort of sitting on his hands. He had something else really, in that universe completely lined up. So I think he was doing like a Frankenstein book that was in Mike Mignola's sort of his verse or whatever you want to call it.
Right. Yeah. So give me 1 sec. I'm gonna. This is a problem I have with having like dual screens or 3 screens, because some of the times I can't get the images over here because the folder's on the other screen, right? So let me.
Sure.
Let me pop this over, and I'm gonna find.
Yeah, it was Dark Horse. Yeah, sorry, I was just fact checking myself. So yeah, Baltimore is Dark Horse. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. For me, what, like I said, I envision this to be something, just to promote other people's work. I think we need that, and I think it's a good way to be talking about those works, because at the end of the day, we need to showcase what's available out here from New Zealand, and not only that, but also to network, because I think, that's one of the things I want to be able to encourage Kiwis to do, right? Especially independent Kiwis. It's like network, kind of like create a traveling independent comics thing, right? Not like a museum type thing, but how like box everything up and send it to that one, and then send it to that one convention and send that one. But because so we can showcase what's out here and also make some money off it, right? Because at the end of the day, you want all our creatives to be able to also make money off what they enjoy doing. you know, and I think it's important to show people what's out here. And when you go, so when people suddenly, you know, see your work in the thing, go, oh, I saw this, I saw that. And, you know, otherwise our creatives get memory hold. You know, it's only that group. They're only on that group and nobody else knows about it unless you're part of that group.
Sure, right.
And, you know, and this way you get to broadcast to the entire world, and hopefully, you know, people take notice that there's these other creatives. But the other offering out there is this, like I said, somebody might pop off, and, you know, and that might be their ticket to the big time, as they say, you know. Or, you know, you could do like show off somebody's work, and suddenly goes somebody overseas, go, oh, I like to get, you know, what's your page rate on, you know, doing a cover? Can you do a cover for me, and so on. Or, you know, I've got 3 pages as a backup thing. Can you do 3 pages, you know, try out on the back of this? A lot of times people out here, you know, just want to do something, you know, get some comic out there, you know, and they're doing it, but nobody's out there trying to help them, you know, encourage them to do it. Or
Right,
because
right.
it's a lonely, like, from my own experience, right? Art is very lonely. Artists are very sort of like introverted, like cosplayers, right? We're very introverted. We get out, you know, we do that, and then we just do that, and then we do that, and we don't go, you know, if you feel okay with our artwork, then we show it. But most of the time, we just keep it to ourselves. And I think what I want to see is that there's more eyes on the work that Kiwis are doing, and that's why this thing came about. It's like, I don't want to be the only one on here. I want to have other people on here. I want to have interviews. I want to have people showing it. I want you to, you know, talk about what's going on. I want, you know, like you've done this week, reached out to other people. And, you know, hopefully in the next, you know, as we carry on, like just like last week, we'll, you know, give up half an hour to people from New Zealand to come and be interviewed, learn about their journey, learn about their experience. Because those are important things. Like, I mean, we had gosh, I always forget names. Let me bring it up. That way it would be easier to remember. You know, from Brotown, right? So we had
Ann Sang.
Yeah, we had Ann Sang up last year. I interviewed him, and about how
that episode is actually what got this like Plunge sort of, yeah, that's what got Plunge on my radar anyway. I'm a big Ann Sang fan, so you know,
yeah. I mean, I've known Ann for a while, and you know, and I mean, like around 2009, 7, 6, something like that. Sorry, not 6, but around about 2007 onwards. But yeah,
I would love to do an Ann Sang episode. I think his work would be worthy of its own episode, and sort of his sort of impact on the community. I mean, you know, you talk about sort of the comic industry, and I don't know how many people are interested in that are watching this, you know, breaking into the business, you know. And look, I can't tell you, you know, anything about it, but you know, I've heard people describe it like it's sort of breaking out of jail, you know.
Right.
So if someone sort of breaks out of jail, they kind of patch that part of the jail off, and you can't break out of it that way anymore. You know, that was the thing, you know. So you know, seeing someone like Ann Sang or a Michel Mulipola or, you know, a Rachel Smythe, or, you know, these types of figures that are, you know, getting out there and getting their, you know, work out to people, and, you know, living as artists, you know, it's sort of, they're sort of kind of become kind of heroic figures, you know. And Ann Sang for me was kind of the first figure like that, you know, probably then and then Michel, you know. So, you know, I'm such a big fan of Ann, and I think, you know, you've got Dharma Punks, which really set up Earth's End Publishing. I don't think you have Earth's End without that launch. You know, Shaolin Burning, I think is probably one of the best New Zealand graphic novels ever made. You know, that some of the panels in there are fantastic. I've got a little factoid about Shell and Burning. Actually, I took a short comic course that was taught by Ant Sang. All of those pages of Shell and Burning were done in A2 size.
Right. Let me.
So A2.
I'm just going to grab the book.
Yeah, sure. So if you can imagine, I mean, most Western comic books are done on sort of like it's a weird kind of aspect, measurement type thing. It's like 11 by 17 inches or something like that, right? And if you don't have comic boards, you usually do it on like A3 Bristol or something. So an A3 is pretty big. That's double the size of printer paper. So that's plenty of space. And so Ant Sang was running this course, on how to make comics, and he brought in this massive briefcase, one of those black sort of slimline kind of art folders, but it was the biggest one I've ever seen. So I thought he was going to bring in some like posters or something that he had bought that some sort of reference. There's Shell and Burning there, no, he brought out, and it was all these original pages. So yeah, all of those pages were like brush work done in A2. I mean, there's a fight scene where I forgot the main character.
Yeah,
A2, double the size of A3, right? So massive, and it was just like unbelievable. So unbelievable feat. That's Hell and the Go-Go Ninjas. Yeah. So that was I think Ant is an underrated writer, and I think that. Yeah, I think even as like short form stuff. I mean, Dharma Punks is such a personal story. It's it's such a beautiful story. But I think that was not to poo-poo Hell and the Go-Go Ninjas. It's a great book, but I think having that sort of holistic relationship between the art and the writing, I think, was a little bit missing. And I'm waiting for the next Ant Sang project. I'm chomping at the bit. I think this next, the next thing that Ant Sang does is his best thing, right? But there's a fight scene in Shell and Burning where, it's been such a long time since I've read it, but it's like the main sort of anti-hero, I think he's called the Monk Who Doubts, is versing these these three tiger warriors in this big sort of bombed out derelict sort of arena. And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's just sort of set my standard for what a New Zealand comic could be. I was like, oh, well, this is where this is top notch. You could buy this anywhere. If this was an American artist, I wouldn't bat an eye. So but that's what I was trying to say. Going back to what to come full circle now. Those sorts of characters, the McHales, the Rachel Smythes, the Ant Sang, sort of give you the belief. It's like, well, they broke out of jail. They got it. They made it. Why can't I? And there's a lot of hard work and sweat off the brow between sort of maybe where you are and where they are, but it's possible. And if those figures don't exist, I think particularly living in New Zealand, it's sort of that seems very far away. So this is another. So see, I noticed Templeton. This is another book. So this is why I wanted you to go through sort of what projects that you had sort of in ongoing, because I'm counting 4 now. So
so let me so I have it by year, right? So each year I have like about 10 or 20 different projects under the year. So Rising's Incredible came out last year, #1. So I'm looking at the screen here. I'm looking at Alienated Alliance. That's 2, right? So now on top of that, we've got PJ and Shibi, which is free right now. You can read as a web, comic strip. I'll put up the images there for later. The link there for later. Then you got Robot Nation. Then you got Strange Love Stories, which has like 4 different stories there under that title. The first of which is like The Tortoise, which is a manga, right? And there's another one under that which is like The Sea at Dusk, and this is the kind of like the cover I did for it, like the title page, because I always do like the design the artwork, right? So people can see where I'm going with what I'm thinking about. Okay, pop down, give me 1 second. So, and you know, this is what I want other people to come and do, right? Hey, here's the projects I've got coming up. I want other Kiwi artists to come up and do that as well. Go, hey, this is the list of projects we got coming up, and because that's what this space is for. So this is like this Sea at Dusk under over Sonosali Island. This is about mermaids, about the whole Fijian mermaid thing. So I've written like the first issue, outlined it, and so on. So that's another project that will be coming up, and I'm looking at it to be a really colorful, kind of like a really, you know, kind of like colorful fantasy elements. So that's why I've used that sort of like a background image where it look, you know, that you can see that's going to be sort of that sort of style of work that I'm looking at when it does come up. Now, you know, there's another one on here. Is like, let me have a look. So there was two just under strange love stories. So it's about love stories, right? But fantasy and all that. Then you got Templeton, of course, and then there's also Torn. Torn is a bit more is like a out of time story as part of the Temple universe. However, now, as you know, we've in 2024, so Zealandia is coming out, right? So Zealandia is a project that I'm working on right now. We're setting up to work on right now with a you know, Swedish artist, right? And that's like
so that Zealandia book that you're talking about, that's sort of in the pipeline. That doesn't have anything sort of released just as of yet.
No, this is something that I was going to release in 5 years, right? Like I was going to like plan it all out, everything. It's going to be a board game at the end of it, all that. But then just like, you know, about the last month, I was like thinking, I don't think I should just wait for it. If the opportunity arises, I'll put it out there. And so opportunity arrived. Opportunity arrives with an artist, and I was like, cool. He's cool. He's got art styles that I'm into. And he was like, this is a project I'd like to work on. I'm like, okay, let's go. And so I sent him like about all, you know, like 50 pages on Dropbox, send him a message, connect, you know, share your Dropbox, and said, have a look through it. So he actually read that all last night, yesterday. And then I got an email about yay big saying this, outline what we're doing. And it's like, sweet, you know, it's going to be great to work with. And, you know, this is like, I think, you know how you go like Magnus Opuses and stuff? This is kind of that for me. This is more like, yeah.
So you're going all in on this one.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, you know, it's a fantasy. It's kind of like my whole Conan, Kroll, Narnia, you know, never-ending story, you know, sort of thing for me, like all that
sort of
fantasy,
high fantasy type stuff. Okay.
Yeah, but it's also of my love for parallel worlds, right? So this world is parallel to Earth. I mean, to New Zealand, and you know, it's gonna. I'm hoping it will be fun for people, you know. And it's about a girl. It's about a young schoolgirl who finds herself there amongst other people who find themselves there, and that world: elves, you know, dwarves, demi-humans, beast man, you know, rabbit ladies, you know, bear people, all that stuff, right? Warriors, you know, princesses, kings, you know, fairies, the whole shebang, and just, you know, creating this really unique sort of not unique. I mean, there's nothing unique under the sun, but you know, but something special out of that, and it's, you know, taking elements that I love about this sort of like this parallel universe, because I've written stories like that before, but I haven't really kind of like finished them off enough. Whereas this one's got the first issue's done. I just got to do a second draft of it. Second issue's half done, and now to have the artist go, you know, I get it. I'm enjoying it. What I've read, I'm you know, and here's what I think about it, and yeah, and so it's, you know, have that, because working with artists is, you know, especially different artists from different countries, they have different ways of doing things. And not only that, not everybody wants to work in the certain rating system you set up. Okay, I just want to do PG stuff. No, I don't want to do, you know, you know, adult materials, right? I'm going to share a for people who like mature comics, a link for a 8-page sampler from one of our American friends who's got a Kickstarter coming up soon. But it's just to be able to do something that I've wanted to do. I plan to do like 5 to 10 years from now, but because an artist was, and when you look at, he's at the same level as like I was sharing there about, let me bring that up again, the Templeton art, right? So this is just a small panel I enlarged to just go, hey, this is here. So this is, this is a page from that book, right? This is kind of like inked up, sort of like res going up. So this is Templeton issue 1 of a 6-part issue, right? So you ask the dog face, and then he turns them into a dog, right? Yeah, and so stuff like that. So you get to work with people just top of their game and that sort of thing. I get to
this art is slick. This is looking nice. So this is Templeton. So okay, so where can we all you've obviously like you said, a very prolific writer. Where can we all see this?
Right. So this isn't out yet, right? So we're trying to finish this issue off, and then we'll be releasing it through Kickstarter, and we'll do the same thing. Like we'll release a I won't call it preview next time because I think that's just a misleading. And just say, here's a PDF you can download, and then we'll go to Kickstarter. So we're waiting for that to finish, and then we'll take it to Kickstarter probably about hopefully mid-year, because you got to run Robot Nation #1. So we're up to about page 19 illustrated pages of a 22-page or 24-page, and we're waiting on a double page, I think, spread is the next one. So but we also have a manga that I've got coming up that we've only done the first issue of, so I got to find someone to do the second and third issue, so we can bring that out and get that to to, what should we say, oops, go back there to
maybe that can go into the Global Comics Awards, the manga.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I'm like, it's kind of, let me see. So there, where are you? Need to share some art here. Let me see. If it's going to come up that way.
So you're going across genres. You're going across sort of formats, and
Yeah, I think. Because of like I said, of being a prolific writer kind of thing, right? I like to write in any genre I can get my hands into, because I'm just trying to tell a story. That's it, and whatever story, however that story is told, is how I'm going to tell it. So this is, and that's, you shouldn't stop yourself, and like hog tie yourself into a certain genre, right?
Sure.
How do I bring this up? This is, gosh, how does this work? I'm using.
So this is the manga.
Yeah, this is the manga. So where is the tools? Zoom in. Here we go. So no, doesn't want to do that. Yeah, so this is a manga about 2 girls, adult females, right? And this starts off with like her as a child and stuff. And let me bring that down a bit. And I just got to do like 2 or 3 or 4 pages, I think, and then this is ready to go.
Okay, not bad.
And so there's a question of whether we make it color, and like, because kids like, I don't want it for kids because it's a mature book, but if we could step on and do like, kind of like a colored version of it, because I want to do it as a movie kind of like setup. So it's a supernatural horror drama, right? So has it popped off over to the other page again? I mean, the other screen. Sorry. Yep. It just doesn't want to be on this screen. Excuse me. And so
I always thought manga, sort of colored manga, was a little bit kind of odd. I always felt like the strongest thing about manga's, like, the art of manga is the line art. The line art is, the best in the world. So when you introduce color to that, it's the colors either don't look right, or they don't add anything to the thing, or So I reckon keep it black and white, man. I reckon that's
I think,
you're onto something there. Get the tones going, the half tones going.
okay. I'm going to bring up the entire work on Clip Studio Paint.
While we are talking about artwork, and this is sort of, I guess, a deviation. You touched on this a little bit in sort of a previous episode, I think with Shane. We're talking about sort of character designs and what have you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were an illustrator.
Yeah.
I mean, talk to me a little bit about sort of, and now you're just strictly writing. I mean, is that something you think you will return to eventually? Or you?
No. I mean, I still, like, for me, like, I'm designing characters, so I still have my tablet, right? I work them, right? And so whenever I need to, like, sort out something, I'll jump on there with my pen, attach it to my Clip Studio Paint, and start working on it, right? So, but I mean, I think it's that whole, you got to know when to roll them, right? And and when to let go. And so there's no point of me trying to do art like when I've got quality artists already doing it there, right? Teaming up with quality artists already. But I'll design the book, I design the logos, I design the characters. Like I'll show you what I mean when I say design the characters, right? I will, you've seen some, right? But like, I think it's Temple Robot Nation. I think so. In Robot Nation, we're doing.
I think you've shown some, like, sort of concepts for. I think it was something about the blackbirds thing, which I think is another type. That's
Yeah. So there is like one of my things. Like, I mean, we've talked about this. How I do research, right? I try to do as much research for my artists. That's one of my things I really focus on when I'm creating something, because I want to make my concept, my ideas as thorough as possible for the artist to follow, because you want to make life easy for people to understand what's going on in your head, and because otherwise, it's hard for people to understand what's going on in you if you don't have a good way of describing it. So sometimes I do this sort of silly stuff. I'm not silly stuff, but I mean, this is what I do in the sense of creating something, creating character, right? Coming up with, like, chucking up stuff, how that's going to look, what the costume's going to look, and stuff like this. This is for upcoming Robot Nations, 2-part, or like I think it might be a 2-part series. For the part of anthology, was it called Trenton Robot and Collections or something? So
right.
The other thing is, you notice that, like, there's guns here, like, messing around with guns and trying to tell them how it's going to be, what, like, legs, she's got cyber legs and stuff because she's been all in battle, like her neck's, so I'll collage it all up together, and work out what I want something to look like, mess around with the, like here you go, cybernetic left eye and all this. She's Asian, and so it's a
so
mature
you sort of
book,
create,
right?
like a mood board kind of initial concept that the artist can sort of run off, right?
Yeah, and that's for like major characters, like for, like, say for Zealandia. All I've just put the description on paper, and I said the only thing I want the character to look like a certain way is the lead character, right? So she's gonna her costume's gonna be different, but her school uniform's gonna be different, but she's basically gonna look like this, right? So that so apart from that, have fun with the rest of the character designs, right? Dwarves and all that. But I've done the weapons and so on, and here's what they have and all this. But she's got like a light brown skin, whereas this is kind of like she's white, but like in the actual book, she's kind of like light brown skin. I haven't given her ethnicity yet, so she, could be like a tanned European Pakia, or she could be like light skinned Maori, so on, or might be light skinned Indian, But so it's kind of that's all I've asked of. The other thing for this one, especially with Trenton.
Sure. So there's no sort of attraction on your end to kind of go, look, I want to write the book, and I want to have complete control over what it's going to look like as well. You don't.
No, I think
doesn't sound.
I mean, when you're working with artists, you got to play to their strengths. Like I won't write for anybody else unless I really, really think I want to write for them. I would, because I've got enough work on my own, and I don't believe in like, with the skills I have, I don't want to be writing for somebody else. And that's the same thing. Like,
no, but you would be writing and drawing the book. I guess that's my pitch to you. Like, that's what I'm doing, and
yeah. And I'm happy with that, for people to do that. But me, I'm happy with just writing. I mean, like, seriously, I
Sure.
design the book. I do all the, all the layouts. I do all the logos. I do all the lettering, speech bubbles. Not only that, I designed the characters and I put it all together, right? The entire thing comes together. I'm doing all that. The only thing the artist is doing, and which they're good at, right? And that's which I'd be just silly not to let them do that, is it's creating this world that I've actually imagined up, and I love seeing that. I think that's why I feel like that artists aren't given their dues. It's always like a lot of times people just go on about the writer. For me, it's like the artist, because they're bringing to life my creation, and I think a lot of people understand that as well. So here's, and it's. Let me show you. Let's get out that one. And I'm gonna. How is it? Oh, this thing isn't doing me favors. This screen. So I am gonna try to. This is the manga one, right? So that we were talking about earlier. And
right.
I just like to play to other. I think playing to the artist's strength is the way to work. Sometimes you'll find out that they're better at something than you are at making up characters and so on. So this is a comic. It's a manga comic, so it's backwards. So you got to go all the way down here, read from the left to right, right? I mean, right to left. So this is where it starts and so on. And, and you got all these artwork, and that I've already lettered. This is different. This is just the artist space. So there's a 2-page spread here, and so it's, it's manga and kind of like westernized manga, not fully manga. So, and you've got this here, and I've lettered all this. So I think, working with artists is a fun thing, and bringing your world to world building and bring it to reality is amazing. Skill for an artist, and I think for me, I'm weak on that. But I know what I want.
Right.
I know what's in my head, and I think, and talking about writers and artists, you got Shane, right, who's able to be a writer and an artist, because that's what he, and now he's putting out his first book as a writer, and you're starting at your one, right? So, how are you going with it, by the way? I should ask, and where you?
Well, I'm apprehensive to talk about it. I mean, it's sort of early days.
Yeah.
So maybe we do chat about it eventually. Maybe not in this episode. I'm not sure. It's going okay. I mean, I'm looking at the Zealandia book, and with a little bit of jealousy, in the sense that the book that I'm writing is sort of political fiction. I mean, it's probably not the best way to describe it, but it is running parallel, very close to real historical events. So there's a
Right.
lot of sort of research and prep that goes into sort of making sure that the events are one realistic, but also sort of respectful too. So it's I've sort of hit a patch where there's some sort of kind of spycraft type stuff going on, and I think it's very easy to make that that sound, or to write that stuff, make that sound very amateurish. You know what I mean? If you don't get it right, if you don't get the authenticity sort of really in there, it just sort of sounds like a bunch of people are kind of flapping their gums, So I've hit sort of a patch, sort of a piece, a couple of pages of heavy dialogue where I'm kind of pulling my hair out a little bit. But, I'm more than happy to go on it more into it at some point once it's sort of closer to the finish line.
Right.
But yeah, that's how it's going. It's there's a lot of sort of double checking things, triple checking things. How would these people do X? And it's a little makes you anxious, because you're sort of at the moment I've got sort of like the bare bones, not to sort of go on about it too much. I've got the sort of the bare bones of what I want. So sort of a first draft of this conversation, and now it's just a case of one, kind of trimming the fat, but also bringing an air of kind of authenticity to it. And it's getting there, but it's just the sort of thing that takes time, and it's something that I don't want to rush. The other stuff I'm kind of confident at this point, making it kind of at least sound passable. And serviceable to the whole story, but this particular sort of exchange between two key characters, the main antagonist and the main protagonist, is it's something I want to get right. And so there's a lot of sort of looking at reference material, looking at history books, seeing how sort of more experienced people have done it, and kind of putting together sort of a weird puzzle, and then kind of giving it a rinse, So it's getting there, man. It's getting there. Like I said, I was talking about, I've sort of laid out probably about 60 pages, lettered about kind of, I don't know, 16, 17 now. And got a couple of pages that are sort of scenes that I need to kind of rework and kind of draw out a little bit. I've put a couple of actions. I know I'm being very vague, so people might be going, "What the heck is this?" But what is the guy talking about? But I've got a couple of sort of gun battles that I think kind of go on to that don't take long enough. And I'm missing some sort of key scenes. So I think they sort of, you look at these layouts and you kind of go, well, there's this gun battle that's meant to have significance. Oh, it's over in 2 pages. That's something that I think, just going back to sort of manga, I think that's what manga gets right, is that, it does sort of get kind of combat right. Maybe it's a little kind of, they've got a kind of their own sort of quirky way of doing things. They shout their moves before they do them, what have you, but you're able to sort of sit on the moments of the battle, momentum shifts and what have you. So I'm sort of trying to bring that kind of aspect of manga and westernize it, there be sort of a tangible kind of back and forth building of sort of momentum, changing in momentum, and put in this book. So I think I've had this sort of, these gun battles have been sort of 2 or 3 pages long, and then you kind of go and it's like, oh, it's over now. So I'm sort of trying to stretch it out a little bit without kind of, making the content too thin. So yeah, sort of, there's been some key moments that I've had to sort of rework. And I'm just trying to push the work sort of as far as I can before I kind of go, I think it's cooked. At the moment, it's a little undercooked at the moment, still in the oven. So So yeah, so hopefully maybe in a future episode I'll be able to give you the elevator pitch. I'll be able to show you the cover and the first couple of pages, what have you, and yeah. But at the moment I'll sit on it for a little bit before.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is like you know, when you're starting with, like, I'm at the level where I can go, yeah, this is what I'm doing because I'm doing it, and here's it as pages because it's already done, right? Or it's upcoming. But like the other thing is, you can't be out there saying this is my story, this is my story, this is what characters and all that, because people will take it, you know, the concept and ideas will take it, and you can't unless you have it, you know, there physically down, you know, the idea and the thing or drawings and stuff. Then people can't say, you know, you're the first, you know, you take your work. I wanted to show you this free sampler that's been put out by an upcoming, you know, friends of the channel, Atrocity Press, who I'll be interviewing in 3 weeks. This is from Machine Gun, Mary Machine Gun. Is their you know, Kickstarter that's coming up. However, and this is a mature comic, right? So this, and also, by the way, guys, this is not meant for kids. These Plunge podcasts has always got like a not for kids.
If you listen to watching the podcast at work, you might want to dab out or something.
You're not going to see, you know, anything major on it, but like I'm just there is an 8-page sampler introduction to Dark America that's available. So you can, this is the link for it, and you can get a free 8-page sampler to try out. So you know, it's from Atrocity Press, and I think it's on their first page. Or is it on their? No, it's not on their first page. But you know, I mean, yeah, actually, there, right at the front page, they tell you that you can get it. So you know, you got a sampler and stuff, and it's, you know, it's kind of like a bad girl comics. So this is an American comic, but you know, it's a good way to understand how to do stuff, right? If you're trying to put a sampler out and stuff, how to introduce things, and I think this would be a good, you know, to check out and learn from. So I've downloaded, but I haven't had a chance to read it because, like I've said, I'm not reading anything new at the moment because I'm trying to keep my brain creatively empty from other people's ideas and concepts.
Interesting.
So we're up to 3 hours and 20 minutes. I usually like to do this with 2 hours or under, but we've had a great conversation tonight, and hopefully you guys, you know, found it interesting. I'm trying to see if I missed anything here. Oh, like so there's one last thing I should say. You know, where do you find stuff that I've worked on that you can read for free? So there's stuff out here that we've put out for free, like PJ and Shibi, you know, political kind of like political satire cartoon strip using anamorphic, you know, what did I press? I pressed something here, and it's, hold on. Anyway, and you're able to, you know, kind of like see what's going on with, you know, I mean, what we're putting out here. This is what artist Constantino Petrosellis, you know, PJ and Shibi, and it's one of those anthropomorphic characters, right? Animals and stuff, and you can, there we go, I fixed it. So let me bring that up here. So it's just basically about dad and daughter and husband, wife, you know, family and all that. So it's a bunch of, you know, bears. And, you know, this is a takeoff on like the apology tour kind of thing where you did something wrong and social media wants to cancel you. You know, it's a three issue, you know, so like these are 3-panel comic strips, right? And so some of them go up to like, you know, 6 parts, so you can, you know, see it, or is this 2 parts? Is this kind of like a standalone technology type thing? It's kind of a humor piece, and you know, so something a bit different, and that's there. But also, I mean, you can also read the webcomic Incredible, right? And so those are available. 2 issues of there are available as well. This is the old, you know, original art and all that we had for Incredible. That in 2019 I sort of like started working on it, you know, the web comic for it. and the art,
Cool.
as you know now, is totally different. And it's just, you can see how big everything was, logos and all that. It's quite different to that. It's kind of more of an animated manga style kind of thing. But when you look at that work that we've done now to it, redone the first issue, it's totally vast, because we've got, the artwork is different. The skill level on that is different. The coloring's there, so you get something like this, compared to the other page, so that I can say, if I put this on a shelf next to a Marvel comic book, I'm happy, because I expect it to be able to compete with that. Whereas like my webcomic isn't that, because it's a webcomic, but this, I expect it to be able to become, compete on that level. And that's why, we redid the whole thing, because I wanted to be able to be in the shops. People pick it up, go, oh, okay, yeah, this is just as good, if not better, kind of thing. I mean, you can see all the different changes and stuff, and how things, are there. The color, and of course, the colorist is Hugo from Mexico, Aquino, and Kevin. The interior artist is Kevin Zimmerman. This is, you can see this here. And this poster image here, of course, is by James D. Hill, right? And this is a 2-page spread from issue 2. Right, we're halfway through it already. It's just been colored now. So you got some sketch cards that we put out. I mean, not sketch cards, but trading cards we put out for that. And so,
Nice.
These are all the covers. And issue 2 is going to be hitting, Kickstarter soon, and probably next month. Yeah, because it's going to, we're working on it. So half the illustrations are done in ink, and so now Hugo's doing the coloring, and it'll be probably about next month. I think we should put out issue 2, but we're waiting to get issue 1 into people's hands before we start the Kickstarter for issue 2. The reason being is that we want to have people to go, hey, review it, hold it up, take photos, and show it off, because I want to see our comic in the hands of people. And that's a joy, right? To see physical, because it's not real until it's physical, right? Until it's here in this, it doesn't, it doesn't mean anything, It's digital, doesn't mean anything until it's physical, and I think a lot of people don't understand what joy it brings to be able to, let me just pop up there, to see a physical version of your comic. Like seeing this meant nothing until kids were coloring the image, and then and then it meant something when it was actually physical. I could touch it, tangible.
Sure.
No,
that's
right.
fair. Well, like you said, we're coming up to 3.5 hours. It's been a mammoth episode, first episode of the season. Let's sort of give kind of our final thoughts on things, and let's wrap it up, I guess.
I'll let you finish up for tonight, man.
Oh, really? I got that on it. Okay. I mean, yeah. Jeepers. How to wrap up this episode? And now I'm full screen now. It's starting to blush. I mean, yeah. If anything, sort of the prep for this episode is sort of shown, is that there is sort of a lot to be excited about with the local New Zealand scene. I think me and Aru are gonna try and do our best to sort of keep tabs on it, and kind of support it as much as we can as it comes out. If you want to come on the show, you've got a project that is you're working on, or it's coming out, or don't hesitate. Reach out to Aru, reach out to myself, and I'm sure we'll have a blast. But yeah, the comic book scene, I think, for 2024 is looking pretty healthy, and yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. So we'll have a lot to talk about in the next couple of episodes. We've sort of floated a couple of ideas. I'd love to talk about Earth's End, love to talk about Ant Sang. But let's see what happens. We'll keep things pretty open-ended, and yeah, hopefully see you guys next week. Awesome. Alrighty. I'll leave it at that for now. Take care, guys. See you soon. Cheers. Bye.
Myself to the stage again and remove that. So this is out right now all across I could say good New Zealand comic stores, and if you don't find it at your comic store, let them know that we would like to get this, or you can go to Art of Evans directly, right, on Facebook and grab it, or go to New Zealand Comics, right, and you can get it from them. So support New Zealand comic creatives. That's all I'm going to say about this, as because so we can grow as a community. And also, if you're out there and want to be on the show, hit us up. All right, hit me up on Facebook, or because I've asked the guys who are part of it. We've got a messenger page, and I've just invited a whole bunch of people, and I've also said, hey, invite other people, so that throughout this year, people can pop in and out if they want, or if you want to come up and have a specific, I want to come and promote myself, and I've got some work coming up. We'll give you the time to do that, and we'll throw some questions at you and see, where it's coming out, when it's coming out, what platform, or are you doing it physically, crowdfunding, whatever. This is the platform for where you can do that, and hopefully that you'll join us going forward and grow this, grow whatever we're doing, network with each other. If you want to cover, reach out to other creators out here. If you need to find an artist, there's artists out here, right? Yeah, all right, I don't know if there's some people who want to write comics, try it. That's opportunities available. But thank you for joining me, and I appreciate it. I'm sorry, a long one tonight, but it is Friday night. Not everybody goes out on a Friday night, right? But with the next three, I'm going to try to keep this 3 on and 1 off, and then 3 on and 1 off, like Fridays, so that we can actually have a break and so on. A month, a Friday off a month. But thank you to Rex for coming on and being a part of this now. And hopefully, if you guys got comic books you want to review, let Rex know, right? Let me know, and I'll just pass it on to Rex, and we'll do that. We'll help do whatever we can to help you promote your work, because that's the way we just set up the future, and hopefully encourage other people to do that as well. Thank you so much. Oh, and don't forget hit that notify button on our page, on the YouTube page, because we've got about 3 interviews coming up on Sundays middays for the next 3 weeks, and with independent creatives around the world on Plunge POP. And also subscribe and like if you like what you're doing, but please do subscribe. Help me grow the channel, because it'll help us financially and time with advertising and all that when there's YouTube does their thing, but also be able to do super chat. I know I'm going to ask the guests and have them answer your questions. Thank you so much. Ka kite anō. Have a good week, guys, and all the best for the weekend.